NFL playoffs.
Jalen Hurts, he's definitely not healthy, and that is a story going into the Super Bowl.
And the city better be ready to put points on the board to try to take away some of this physicalness.
Yeah, I can't wait to see it. Quite honestly, this one's going to be, an all-time game, man.
Right now. Continuing in-depth coverage. It all begins each morning at 6 Eastern with Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max, and continues all day on ESPN Radio.
Kinner and Kev live with you here on a Wednesday. Welcome in, everybody. I'm Justin Kinner. He's Kev Nash. We are live on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. We are live on the Justin Kinner Show Facebook page. We are live on ESPN Dayton's YouTube channel, live at wingam.com. Kev, are we live?
We're live.
We'll
do it live.
Yes, we'll do it. Mr. Kev Nash, welcome.
What up, though?
Off and rolling here on a Wednesday, the middle of the week. Yesterday we left, and I remember saying, man, tomorrow's like, we're already into the week. No, it's Wednesday. Like, it's a very slow-moving week, but a lot going on.
Very weird.
Very weird week. Kudos to the National Basketball Association. Kudos to LeBron James. Kudos to another sport dominating headlines in a week that is supposed to be all about the National Football League. I mean, it does not feel – does it feel like Super Bowl week, Kev? Let me just ask you.
No.
I can't remember the last time I felt like, and by the way, I'm jacked for the game. I can't wait for the game. Don't get me wrong, but I do not feel this is probably the least, I don't even know what the word I'm looking for. There just doesn't seem to be a lot of buzz around this Super Bowl. And I credit that to the NBA. Everyone out there says, no one cares about the NBA. Hate the NBA. I don't watch the NBA. For a sport that nobody watches, or that a sport that people claim they don't watch, they probably have just as many opinions on the NBA as they do the NFL. It's fascinating to me.
Yeah, I mean, when you go from Friday with Kyrie Irving demanding a trade, him getting a trade on Sunday, and then that's leading up to LeBron James breaking the all-time scoring record today. We have plenty of NBA content, and then tomorrow is the NBA trade deadline. So we got a lot of NBA talk. So I think by like mid tomorrow and Friday, people are really going to start getting amped up for the Super Bowl.
So I noticed that all throughout today, and I have no look, LeBron James is the most polarizing athlete probably ever. I mean, I've never seen a dude accomplish what he just accomplished, and all day today, it's just been about, yeah, but he fill in the blank. Yeah, but he's not fill in the blank. Yeah, well, you know, the league is fill in the blank. It drives me crazy. One thing I learned early on about you and I starting this show, we're not going to change each other's mind about who the greatest of all time is, but I'm going to open up with my opinion. I believe what we watched last night, in my opinion, and you'll have yours, and I learned recently and years ago how to do this. So I believe what we watched last night was the greatest player of all time, setting the all-time scoring record. And I always go back to this. And the reason I go back to this is, for one, I hate the greatest of all time debate. It's a topic that should be retired and put away and never brought back out. But I think because of what happened last night, if you can't tell, a lot of shows try to stay away from it, but everyone went flooding into it.
Right.
But the reason is it's fascinating to me is because, I mean, let's use a video game terminology. If you're going to go create an NBA player on 2K, okay, are you going to create a 6'8", 6'7" guard, kind of skinny, just solid build that can handle content, but just that could shoot the ball? That's not a good passer. He can rebound. Good leadership skills, no doubt. Be the best player on your team, no doubt. Or are you going to build that same guy, just almost 7 foot, jacked as a mofo, best passer in the league, one of the best passers in the league, one of the best rebounders in the league, one of the best scorers in the league, one of the best 3-point shooters in the league? Then you don't have an FAI points to increase that free throw thing. But LeBron James is exactly the prototype of a player that we all created when we were younger playing video games. And I'm sure the young folks that still play these video games, when they're creating an NBA player, you're not creating a 6'7" string bean guard. You're creating a LeBron James prototype, a center that could pass, that could shoot, that could rebound, that could play point guard, that could do it all. GM, not very well, but he could do it. Like, so I'm mad that, and I'm falling for it today. I'm mad that sports media today turned it into that conversation. I am not happy about that because it should have just been one of those celebrating LeBron setting that record, but it didn't. It turned into a whole thing of LeBron is not this. He is not that. JJ Redick, I love JJ Redick, and poor Stephen A. Smith. I mean, he just can't stay out of the way of the Dukies, man. Like, I mean, the Duke players have just had his number all week. But no, in the MJ LeBron debate, whatever, I always lean towards it more of that way. Obviously, you can talk about the championships and all that other stuff. And the one thing that frustrates me the most about the LeBron talk today and the criticisms of LeBron, or maybe the discounting of LeBron's accomplishments, Kev, he's played 20 years in the league, has a couple more to go still.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to figure out when longevity became a bad thing. Because there's a difference between playing 20 years and dominating 20 years.
Yes.
There are guys who play a very, very, very long time. Kevin Love is still an active NBA player. I don't know what year he is. What year is he, by the way?
Say K Love, so how to be like in year 15.
15.
Let me double check though.
Year 15. How many of those years though has Kevin Love played? Like, I mean, like, was Kevin Love Kevin Love? Let's talk about. You want to talk about Carmelo Anthony? Carmelo Anthony played a long time in the NBA, but how many years did Carmelo Anthony play? How many years was Carmelo Anthony?
About 17.
But how many of those was he Carmelo Anthony?
I'll say about 17. He played 19 years.
You're saying 17 of the 19 where he was still that dude. And I'm not saying it's not going to happen, but we're talking about a guy that's 38 years old who has played 20 straight years. Has had a combined, when I saw a graphic today that you combine all the games he's missed because of injury, it doesn't even equal half of an NBA season. That's pretty impressive. I thought he missed more last year than that. That's the only thing I had to argue about that graphic on ESPN today, but that's besides the point. The longevity, the durability, the endurance, in a day and age where the superstars of the NBA are working out off days in their contracts, this dude is still doing his thing at 38 years old. Got to give him his credit. Got to give him his props. His props. I have no clue why throughout today I've been hearing people use the longevity of LeBron's career as a way to disqualify his scoring record, his assist, his assist totals, how many times he's been to the finals, all of these things. Because the one thing is, there's a difference between, as I said, playing in the league for 20 years and dominating the league for 20. He's been dominating the league for 20 years. He's 38 years old. Last night, I'm watching a roster full of older and young guys, and LeBron's still the best guy out on that floor. Like, it's amazing to me that at his age, I remember watching Kobe Bryant's final game where he put up 60 points. He put up 60. He looked damn good doing it. He looked like an older basketball player. LeBron doesn't look old. He looks old. He is explosive? No. Is he as much of this as that? No. Still dominating. I'm frustrated today. I wanted to hear about, Steph Curry got all these flowers for setting the 3-point record. No one said, yeah, Steph Curry, he's a good 3-point shooter, but he's not blank. Drove me nuts all day today. I thought last night was badass. I remember LeBron James coming into the NBA, Kev. I remember I got in trouble. I got grounded because we had to have the TV out by 9:00. Like, we had to be in bed by 9 and our TV off by 9, no video games. I was in middle school. Which 9 still seems kind of late, Joe, but whatever.
Count your blessings.
And LeBron's very first game ever was against the Sacramento Kings on the road. And that was actually one of my favorite Kings teams because they had Mike Bibby, Peja Stojakovic. I love that. Vlade Divac. That was a Kings team that had a big rivalry with the Lakers during that stretch. But the Kings dominated the NBA during that time. It was probably one of the best NBA teams to not win a championship during that 2000s era. But anyways, and I remember getting grounded because I would listen for my parents and then go to bed. You think I'm watching like an adult film or something. I'm turning the volume low. I'm like, what the hell's happening here? I'm just trying to watch an NBA game. I watched LeBron's very first game ever. I remember the very first point, the dunk. Just the tomahawk dunk. I'll never forget that because I got in trouble because when he did that, I cheered. I clapped. That's how I got caught. Because I started cheering when LeBron got that dunk because I'm like, I've been hearing about this dude. I've been watching this dude. I watched him in high school. And now here he is dunking on the Sacramento Kings. And Sacramento Kings are okay this season. But, it's not like the Kings of the last decade. The Sacramento Kings were a big deal back in the early 2000s. And here's this 18-year-old kid, a couple years older than me, dunking on the Sacramento Kings. Man, that was badass. Man, that was cool. I know people love to crap on LeBron. They love to pile on LeBron. They don't like his politics. They don't like this. They don't like that. He's kind of cheesy. He's kind of goofy. I get all that stuff. But, man, when he leaves the NBA, can you name one player in the league right now that is going to dominate headlines on the week of a Super Bowl. Giannis is very, very good. Giannis doesn't have that. I don't think he has that mass appeal yet. Maybe he gets there. He needs more records. He needs more championships. I don't know what it is, but I thought the NBA was in a good, healthy place, and I'm not saying it's not in a healthy place, but Kev, it did make me realize that outside of Steph Curry and outside of LeBron James and maybe Kevin Durant, there's not a player in the league that I think captures the attention more than those three. I don't know. It's Super Bowl week, and we're talking NBA, and I know you're happy about that.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's for me on the flip side. It's I stayed away from ESPN and all the talk shows today. I watched the highlights because I fell asleep, so I wanted to see the moment for myself. But I stayed away from the debate shows because I knew what it was going to happen. I stayed away from the morning show. I stayed away from Greeny. I stayed away from all that stuff because I knew exactly what it was going to turn into. It's not going to be a celebration of LeBron James breaking a great record. For me, I wanted it to be about LeBron James breaking this record. But the cool thing about when records are broken, you not only get to celebrate the person that is breaking the record, you get to celebrate the person's record that they're breaking.
Yep.
This is for Kareem Abdul-Jabbar as well. Like, this is something he's passing on to LeBron James, that LeBron broke his record. So we get to relive Kareem's greatest moments as well. And for a player like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, who was the all-time leading scorer, is one of the greatest champions in the sport, doesn't get enough props, especially people of my generation, because we didn't see Kareem play. So we kind of like, well, out of sight, out of mind. And we just kind of negate Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. So like, I love when records are broken because we get to see and hear from the all-time greats before our era. I knew exactly what it was going to turn into. I stayed away from it.
I did too. I did.
I stayed away from it, and my cousin tried to bring it in because he's a Kobe guy, and he tried to get me involved in it. And I was like, I'm not falling for the bait. I'm not doing that with people, man. Like I learned, and this is a tough lesson I had to learn. You know, I spent Kobe Bryant's entire career hating him. Because, I mean, he played for the Lakers. I don't like the Lakers. I mean, it has nothing to do with Kobe. I just don't like the Lakers. I'm not a Lakers fan. So I spent my entire career hating him, respecting him, knowing he's a great player, but never watching and rooting and cheering for him to do great things. And then, unfortunately, he passes away. So I spent an entire career of somebody hating him. And you talk about, like, LeBron and you and staying up. Like, me and Kobe are almost the same age. So, like, to see, like, hey, man, he's like a year younger than me or a year older, however, in the NBA, taking on Michael Jordan, like, that's awesome. But no, I just hate it. I spent his entire career hating him. So I've slowly but surely transitioned away from, like, arguing with people about who's the GOAT, who's the best of all time. Hey, man, I really enjoy what Fitz said yesterday on the show about top shelf. He was talking about liquor. And there's no doubt about it that LeBron is top shelf liquor. He's the all-time leading scorer in the NBA. Today's a day to pay homage to that and to respect the fact that he did it. And you know what? If people are complaining about longevity and everything like that, this ain't baseball where dudes just stick around and stick around and stick around until they break a record. Like, he actively had to go out there and get that record. And I must admit, I didn't have this conversation with my cousin because he's a Kobe fan. I had this conversation with my brother. I was like, I am interested to see how LeBron attacks the second half of this season, because there's other records out there to get. There's, like, he can climb higher in the assist category. So are we about to see LeBron going full point guard mode? Because, like, he's been in attack mode for a while. And I'm not knocking him for it, because, like, the scoring thing was out there, and it's like, man, let me put my foot to the pedal to the metal and get this thing and get it over with type of vibe. So I want to see, like, all right, what record are we about to go for next? And I have absolutely no problem with it at all. Hey, you want to try to go out there and just, hey, man, I got the all-time scoring record now. Let me try to see how high I can get on the assist. I would salute him for that too.
Yeah, the other criticisms too were, well, this record, it felt cheap because he's on a bad team and he's just chasing after the points. And I said, well, that's the thing, though. You're right. He's on a bad team, and he's the best player on a bad team. And at the end of the day, if he doesn't go get those points, who does? You know, who does? If he doesn't go get those points, who does? If he is the best player, he could be the best passing guy. He could be the best assist guy in the team, the best rebounder on the team. He could be the best scorer on the team. He could be whatever he wants. He could choose. You talked about it. Right now, he's been full bore going after the points. As much as people might knock him for it, if all of a sudden the points dip and now he starts focusing on the assist, but that speaks to just how that's called a switch that you could flip. And that's crazy. That's not a thing, but it could be a thing. It might be a thing. It probably is a thing for LeBron. He has a switch. All right, I'm done being the best scorer in the league for the first half of the season. I'm going to be the best passer in the league for the second half. And then what the hell? I might get bored next year, and I'm just going to average 15 rebounds a game if I want to.
I mean, that's what Wilt did
nuts,
that.
Yeah.
Wilt did that for a season where he said, I'm about to lead the league in assists, and he did.
And he called it and then did it. So that's when people try to bury LeBron, and let's take the LeBron versus MJ thing out of this. Let's just focus on, and I fell for the trap too. And in fact, I made it about that to start. My point was, Kev about murdered me about a month ago, and that wasn't even the worst argument we've ever gotten in. I mean, it started out a little rough when we started the show because I couldn't believe it. Someone had the nerve to disagree that LeBron is the best player in the world. In my opinion, he is. And Kev, it's still MJ. And a lot of people think it's MJ. And there are the LeBron versus MJ people. But for just to focus on LeBron for a second, if your argument is that, well, all he does, he scores a lot of points on a bad team. Well, then if he didn't score a lot of points on a bad team, you would say how horrible, man, LeBron can't even score points on a bad team. You guys can't have it both ways. But if we're going to talk about him going to flip that switch and now being a big assist man coming up, that means that guy's so damn good that all of a sudden out of nowhere, he could just flip that switch and become the best. That means he's been sitting on that. He's been sitting on scoring. He's been sitting on assists. That's the thing. And I think the other is close to the MJ LeBron conversation I want to have on this, Kev, is I think that JJ Redick and Stephen A got into it about the two today.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not changing your mind. You're not changing my mind.
Right.
But I do find it fascinating why LeBron just set the all-time scoring record, 20 years in the league, averaging 27 points per game for 20 straight years. Over his full career, averaging 27 points per game. That is insane to me. Why is it that guys like Stephen A and the guys that defend MJ just for everything that he does? Oh, LeBron has the most points of anyone ever, averaging 27 points, but he's not a better scorer than Michael. And I kept trying to figure out why is that? LeBron's greatness, I think, gets in his way, even because when you think of Michael, you're not, I don't think your mind's clogged with, oh man, he was a pass first. No, he didn't pass. He could rebound, but he wasn't a rebounder. He's MJ's freaking great, man. Like it's 1A, 1B if we're going to just try and maybe agree on something, whatever. But he was that's what you knew MJ for. His ability around the rim, the fact that he could shoot, became a three-point shooter. He could, the fadeaway, all that stuff, the free throw, everything. There was no flaws in his offensive scoring game. That's what he was. But when you label people as just scorers, you're knocking people.
Right.
And now LeBron, oh, well, he's not just a scorer. He's a passer too. And it sounds like he's a pretty damn good all-around player. You mean he could be the best in the world at passing, the best in the world at rebounding, the best in the – but the other guy's better? That's all. That's where I like when I watch TV and hear people's. That's where I'm like, but I know it comes down to the championships and the high leverage moments. The NBA. That's why I hate baseball. Baseball's the only sport where we don't hold lack of championships against guys. Barry never won a World Series, and if it wasn't for the steroid allegations, he'd still be the best baseball player in the history of baseball. It fascinates me. That's all.
As far as like baseball is concerned, I think outside of football. Well, in baseball, you can take out Barry Bonds by simply not pitching him the ball. So you are super reliant on your teammates and not only just reliant on your pitcher, you're relying on your pitcher from a different pitcher from game to game. So I think that's kind of like why we don't say, hey, this player X does not have World Series. That's why it's so individualized and so much about what you do as an individual. I think it's the most individual team sport out there because it's really not what you do as a team. Like, hey man, just like look at Trout. Like, hey man, all these numbers that I put up, I can't help it if nobody else is hitting the ball. I can't help it if he can't field. I can't help it if he can't pitch. I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. On the flip side, in basketball, we've seen the power shift when you get a great player versus when you lose a great player. You've seen the power shift from, we can talk about like the Orlando Magic, worst record in the league. Boom. They're right at 500 when they get Shaquille O'Neal. Then boom, they're in the finals 2 years later because they drafted Penny Hardaway. Like it happens that fast when you have a great all-time great basketball player. As far as like LeBron and MJ, you're right. People have their minds made up. And I'm one of them. Hand raised to the sky. But I'm not going to sit here and act like LeBron James ain't one of the best basketball players I've ever seen in my life. Like, it's crazy. It's crazy what he can do. It's crazy what I saw Michael Jordan do. And I think that people need to chill out. Like, I really think that people need to get off of this. Like, but they won't because it moves the needle. Because I can hear it in your voice. I could only imagine how things were on First Take or even on.
I love JJ. I love JJ.
How things went down with Shannon and Skip today. I can only imagine how it went down, and that's why I avoided it like the plague, because I knew exactly it wasn't even going to be about what LeBron accomplished. It's going to be about Michael Jordan, who hasn't played an NBA game in like 20 years, and that's the crazy thing about it. We don't see Michael Jordan chiming in like, I'm the best. It's us, fingers pointing at myself and you and everybody else, us stands of these guys that come with our pitchforks saying, no, he ain't this, he ain't that, he ain't this. Like, I understand where every team or every guy has a hive. Every fan base of a player has their guys. I'm here for it. Not today, though. Like, today shouldn't be about that. Like, can the man have his moment to shine? Like, come on. Like, really? Can Kareem have his moment? Can we remember that, hey, man, Kareem's record stood since 1983? Can he get some love? Today is not the day for that, for me at least.
What's wild is back when Kareem broke that record, he played a little bit longer after that, but like LeBron wasn't even thought about, wasn't even around, wasn't born. That's what's great. So like the other day we're talking about the scoring record ever be broke, and we're saying, oh man, like who's the let's look at who's the closest. I'm like, that's the thing though. The player that breaks this may not be born yet. But what I really hope to have happen, I think it's really cool for those that grew up watching Kareem. I got to see some reaction on Facebook, how cool it was to watch Kareem, who they grew up, handing that ball off to LeBron at the end. I hope
that's what
I hope we're alive and LeBron's alive, because we learned a lesson with Kobe that these guys aren't indestructible. Like, I mean, my goodness, that still is just the wildest thing to wrap your head around, the way Kobe went out. I still hope that I'm alive for that day that whoever breaks that scoring record, that LeBron's sitting underneath the baseline, that he's, probably with a little glass of wine, I'm just saying,
a little box of wine,
so is what it is. But I get it. He's a polarizing figure, and what he represents is a different NBA than what people grew up watching. And guess what? You and I talked about this last week. I think it was you that said you take the MJ side, but you got real defensive about LeBron not too long ago with someone you were talking about, like, Ja Morant, because they were trying to.
It was Luka. It was Luka.
Okay.
So it was something floating around on social media, the Devil's Playground, and these younger guys,
my backyard.
These younger guys have a pretty cool podcast where they talk about NBA, and I watched the video, and they were saying, who would you rather have, Luka today or LeBron in 2008? And I watched the video and I listened to them explain what they explained. And I was like, you have a couple valid points. But all I could think to myself was like, this is how it starts. This is how the narrative starts. So for every person that I've ever got into an argument or a debate with about LeBron and Michael Jordan, this is about to happen to you. So you're about to be arguing with people that are slightly younger than you that only know Luka. They only know LeBron as he's fading out of his career. And they're going to have all these numbers to back up Luka. According to this number, according to this number, according to this number, Luka did this, Luka did this, Luka did that. And you're going to say, well, guess what? I saw it with my own eyes. You weren't alive. You're going to, whatever I've said in the past, people that defend LeBron James are going to say exactly what I said. And to be perfectly honest, that's how it's always going to go. That's how it's always going. I had the conversation, RIP to my Uncle Harry. We used to talk about this all the time about, Magic Johnson and Michael Jordan, until Michael Jordan got through till they beat the Suns. He kind of gave in. Like, yeah, he probably is better than Magic Johnson. But like, when you have your guy, you have your guy. And no matter what numbers the other person has to back up their point, you're going to say, hey, I seen it from point A to point B to point Z. You've only seen your perspective. So that's how this whole thing works. So in a couple years, when Luka's putting up even more ridiculous numbers and LeBron is finally retired and, owning a team in Las Vegas, being an owner, probably being a bad owner, just like Michael Jordan, everybody's going to be coming for LeBron. And you know what else is funny about that? They show some of the highlights. And it's funny because it's not in high definition. And I'm just waiting for that day for you to have these arguments with the other generation. Not the generation before you, the generation after you.
I mean, swinging bats at everybody.
Exactly.
Behind me,
so,
in front of me, left, right.
I'm just going to sit back. Me and the Michael Jordan stands and the Kobe stands, we're just going to sit back and y'all got to fight off the young bucks as well.
All right. 518-1410. Kev, who we got?
We got Clifford, line 1.
What up, Clifford? How are you, sir? Welcome.
Hey, how y'all doing?
Good.
What y'all think about Stephen A's argument on the physicality of the 90s where Jordan didn't play as long because of the physicality and how the rules done changed, no hand checking and stuff like that now? How much you think that make a factor in LeBron's longevity and Jordan not playing that long because of the physicality? Thank you.
Thank you. That was with the JJ Redick argument today. Look, that's always a go-to is how physical the game was back then. Now, I can't tell you that the physicality is why he, you can't. No one can tell me that the physicality is why Michael didn't play as long as LeBron. No one can tell me that because the league's not as hard as it used to be, that's why LeBron lasts as long as he has. I have a hard time believing that a guy that's built like a truck couldn't handle the physical beating that they were given to people back in the 90s. And I'm not saying that Michael would dominate in today's NBA, no doubt. But this idea that LeBron couldn't dominate back then because it was too physical, I'm like, actually, he's built bigger than anybody during that stretch as far as his position. Like as far as, we're not talking about Shaq or those guys who were true centers down low they were built to handle that beating down low. I'm talking about a guy like LeBron who would be, he's more physically imposing than MJ during his peak as far as being able to handle that. Doesn't mean he's better. I think, but you see the point that we're trying to make in this conversation here. As far as the physicality is concerned, I don't know if that's why MJ didn't play as long as he did. And nobody knows that. And I'm not saying that that's definitely not why, but unless he comes out and says, well, the game was just, that means you would have to have MJ tell you it was just too physical. That's why I couldn't play anymore. I don't think that's the case. I mean, there was a combined 4 years from the mid 80s to the 2003 when he retired. There was 4 years in that stretch where he didn't play.
Right.
Because, whether it was the retirement, his dad passing away, he thought he was initially done after the Bulls final championship and then came back a few years later because that was how to get the foot in the door to become an owner and yada, yada, all that. But I, without 1,000,000% agree, it was so beyond physical back then. And I agree. My other point was, I don't like physicality as a skill. I'm not a big fan of the idea of that. If I can go out there and just shove someone down to stop you from scoring, that doesn't make me a great defender. How do you stop someone from scoring that's not shoving them down? So that's why I've always got annoyed at that. Like the Jordan rules, one of the big arguments you and I had early on. I was like, I think the Jordan rules is kind of silly. The Jordan rules was as simple as, well, just go shove him down. It doesn't take skill. I can go shove MJ down. Well, I don't know if I'm strong enough to shove him down. Let's just be clear. I can go shove him. But no, nonetheless, physicality absolutely was through the roof, night and day different in the 80s, 90s compared to now. But is that why MJ didn't play as long? I mean, he probably played a role on the wear and tear of his body, but at the same time, it sounded like he did a lot of wear and tear on his body as well with all the drinking and the smoking and all the other stuff.
Living
Staying up late and not knocking it, by the way.
For me, I just think that it was a different game. And it's not only the fact that it was more physical then, but there's a point where the physicality takes away from the game. Rewinding the game back to the olden times, there was a whole bunch of passing and cutting and freedom of movement. So when you have that extra physical play, when you have hand checking, you take away the ability of the great offense that we want to see. So if you take that away, it turns the average person off. Like, hey, man, I don't want to see a whole bunch of games in the NBA that's 65-64. Nobody wants to watch that. No, that's bad basketball because of the physicality. So you allow more freedom of movement. And it's not just a hand checking thing. It's not just a hard foul thing. Hey, man, you can't screen a certain way. You can't back screen. You can't do a lot of different things that you once could do. So it allows more space and it allows more wide open lanes to drive through. And absolutely that helped LeBron James score more points, but it helped all players in the era that he played in score more points. But also, we can't act like he didn't play in the transition of eras as well. So he was dominant since day one. So you just got to give credit where credit is due. So do I think like if Michael Jordan or like Isaiah Thomas or Allen Iverson was just dropped in today's NBA, yeah, it's going to get a whole bunch of buckets because, oh, wait, they can't foul me? Oh, if they foul me, I get a free throw?
Hey, I would eat.
They
all eat, but I would eat.
Wait. Oh, you mean in my day, I had to hit the floor and fall into the stands to get a free throw? Oh, you mean they touched me, I get a free throw? Oh, I'm just going to keep going to the rim every single time because I shoot 88% from the free throw line. Like those dudes will be putting up crazy numbers. And I mean, I was having this conversation with another buddy of mine about like all these guys that like, oh man, like 50-point games aren't as impressive. I think you and I kind of had this conversation. Yeah, because the freedom of movement and it's not that everybody's such a great player. It's because you got space. It's space. People aren't crowded. It's kind of the same thing in college football. What's the big thing in college football? Space. Spread them out. Get this athlete one-on-one with that athlete. Chances are I'm going to take my athlete over your athlete. It's all about spacing.
Keith Tolliver says, how many less free throws would LeBron have if he played in the 80s and 90s? Different era, not only physically, but the three-point line, nutrition, and how they traveled to each city. No, I get all that too, but I mean, LeBron, I think they did a thing too. Like he would have, if he would have improved his free throw percentage, I think they said by like 3%, 3 or 4%, this record would have been broken about a month ago at the pace he was on. Like the free throw, I mean, he could have got to the free throws a lot less, but it actually probably would have helped him. I mean, let's just be clear. Brad, where'd Brad go? Brad said LeBron James is physically big, but softer than a pillow mentally. See, that's where I disagree, Brad. I know that he has a lot of tendencies that make you think that, but my goodness, I mean, this is the guy that is just he's hated everywhere he goes. He's literally, I mean, he is crapped on by everybody. He's the world. He sets the scoring record. Everyone's pissed off. Everyone's just trying to downgrade. And all he does is smile and keep going out there, and he keeps scoring, and he keeps dominating the league 20 years in. I get why people say he's soft mentally, Kev, but he also wasn't the one making fake burner accounts on social media like Kevin Durant. And no one calls him soft. Well, actually, that's not true. People do call him soft. But we're on a scale of 1 to 10, where do you agree with the mental softness of LeBron? Because I understand where it's coming from, because he shows signs of that, like the constant whining and stuff. But all athletes whine. Every athlete whines in every sport. That's why I can't stand when athletes whine either. But the athletes that whine and then go and just continue setting records and winning championships and being great at age 38, I don't think that's necessarily soft. Brad, I hope we're still friends though.
I could care less. I could care less about him crying and all that stuff on social media and all the subliminal tweets that he's done during his career.
Why me?
Or is it me? Yeah. Is it me or the fit in or fit out? All that mumbo jumbo. Like, look, man, it's corny to me. But guess what? I don't care. What I care about is what you accomplish on the court. So if we want to talk about a mentally soft situation from LeBron James, you really only have the finals against the Mavericks really to look at. That's the real thing that anybody should ever look at. Everything else, whatever, man. And that's the whole thing. Like, people get so caught up in, back in my day. Well, it used to be like this. Well, it used to be that. Well, guess what? It ain't like that no more. It's 2023. You got to move on, dude. People are going to express themselves on social media however they see fit. It's not going to end the world, but we can wreck him for the Dallas Mavericks performance. That's tangible. We can see, you played like crap. You couldn't post up JJ Barrera. You let Jason Terry post you up. Like that, yes. The crying on the social media, whatever, they all do it. And chances are you probably do it too.
And by the way, MJ retired at one point because he was mentally burnt out. And that's not an opinion. He literally said that on that documentary. Like, he couldn't. And by the way, and if MJ got mentally burnt out during a time where if he didn't want to read or hear anything bad about him, you just turn off the TV or you don't pick up a newspaper and your mental health is fine. You go on with your day. Now, LeBron can't even get on his phone at all without notifications all over. He sucks. He's soft. He's this. He's that. My gosh, he's the worst. He's no MJ. He's the blah, 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 blah. Dylan Shaver says, you mentioned earlier people are trying to take away LeBron's record because of longevity. Kareem played 150 more games than LeBron. And the longevity thing is, well, if MJ would play as long as he did, imagine the points he would have. But he didn't. That's the whole point. And about LeBron, too, the whole thing about the longevity is, this is why I said earlier, there's a difference between playing 20 seasons and dominating 20 seasons. Kareem, you look at the last, this last season when 88. I was born a year later, by the way. Just missed Kareem. Just missed him. He averaged 10 points per game in his last season. That LeBron's not going to average 10 points a game in his last season. That's just not, unless he starts next season, game 1 of an 82-game season, has 10 points, breaks his ankle, and is out for the rest of the year. He ain't averaging 10 points for a whole season. The season before the second to last, 14, 17 in his third to last, and 23. I mean, the highest he ever averaged. I mean, obviously the 30 points per game on multiple occasions. I mean, he has averaged as much as 34 with the Bucks back in 71. Kareem was a freaking beast.
That's the Kareem I wish I was alive for. For like, I mean, I've seen the highlights, and that's most of the highlights that you get of Kareem, him with the Lakers. And I mean, it's the Lakers, it's a story franchise. But according to my uncles, Kareem with the Bucks, oh my. My. Like they talk about like Giannis. Like they say, like he was exactly the same way, just a freak of an athlete. So that's the Kareem that I wish I was able to see.
Wow, long open to the show, but I was just stewing all day, just listening to these shows. I'm over the. My opinion is what it is. You guys' opinion is what it is. I'm done trying to change anyone's mind and vice versa. But what I was annoyed with today was all of this. Couldn't you? I mean, when Steph Curry set that record, it was just, man, he's an all-time great. I mean, at one point, Steph Curry set that record, and at one point, people were trying to say, I think actually he's been the face of the NBA for the last. Curry, by the way, he's top 2 in the NBA. Don't get me wrong, but my goodness, like that's where we got carried away when he broke that 3-point record. LeBron breaks the scoring record, and I mean, Kenner could do it if he played 20 years in the NBA. I mean, that's the way some of y'all sound. I'm like, come on now. Anyways, all right, 518-1410. Cliff, appreciate the call. I know a couple more of you on hold. We'll get to your calls on this. LeBron James set the record last night, but that was pretty cool. I'm not going to lie, Kev, for how little I felt the buildup to that. I thought the game was badass. I thought that the feel of it, the vibe, when he touched the ball. Well, to be fair, at halftime, I kind of dozed off. I was really
I didn't make it past the first quarter.
But I was like really happy to feel the energy of that game, watching that game. That was cool. I felt the crowd was into it. The only thing I will say that felt off, the players just sucked around them, and like they were getting, like I saw a lot of palms in the air. They weren't praying. I mean, their palms were in the air. It just seemed they all seemed out of sync. They were all arguing amongst one another. LeBron, as much as I love him, he was open every damn time down the floor. I mean, he was, to be fair about the selfishness of LeBron a little bit. And I get last night. I mean, I'm not going to say selfish, but last night winning the game was the least of his concerns. And I think that's the problem because, yes, they're a bad team. And I think what LeBron and the Lakers wish is that they actually wish that more teams, I think they wish the gap was wider. I don't think that they like that they're 3 games out. If they go on like a 6-game win streak, that they would go from 13th in the West right now or whatever. They'd probably be about 6 or 7. Mm-hmm. Like that's the gap that they can close. And there was just, I don't know, Anthony Davis was, he wouldn't stand in or applaud it, and he wouldn't even watch the shot. He didn't even watch the shot. He didn't even applaud the shot. He didn't get up and clap or cheer or nothing. So people blowing that up, I have no clue what's going on there. Westbrook and the head coach and Ham got into a verbal altercation, I guess, according to reports on ESPN that I just, skimmed across a little bit ago. There was a lot going on behind the scenes, and I thought they brought up a good point. I think it was Colin earlier brought up a good point is, when LeBron, he didn't go through war with any of these dudes.
Right.
Anthony Davis, yes, but it's a little different. But this team is just a bunch of scraps put together, hoping that enough sticks just to make a run or whatever. But LeBron doesn't have, if he did this in Cleveland, I think it would have been even bigger in Cleveland. Had he done this in Cleveland, Kev, I think it would have been a bigger deal.
I don't know, man. It's the Lakers, and the Lakers move the needle no matter how good or how bad they are. Obviously, LeBron James being an all-time great player, playing for the biggest franchise in the NBA. You're right though. Like if D Wade was on this team, if Chris Bosh was on this team, if Udonis Haslem was on this team, like some of the guys that we've seen him win championships with, it would have probably looked better aesthetically on TV. There would have been more excitement. I mean, shoot, you look at the front row, like it was every star in LA was out there. Jay-Z was out there. Phil Knight from Nike was out there. I mean, obviously his family was there. Everybody was there. Kareem was there. Everybody was in the building. Shaq was watching on TV. Like it was must-see TV. And I knew he was going to break the record when I saw the outfit that he wore to the game.
That's what everyone keeps saying. Yep.
Like once I saw, I was like, oh yeah, you're not wasting a nice outfit like that on a game where you're only going to score 25 points. You're breaking it tonight. And then things started trickling in on social media about a party that they were at after and everything like that. Yeah, you don't come looking that clean not to break a record.
Yeah, he ain't Joe Burrow. Only Joe Burrow dresses real fresh just to lose a big game.
And he went out to party. He went out to party. LeBron went out to party like Joe Burrow.
Oh, man. I can't wait to see. By the way, whenever quarterback loses on Sunday, oh, man, y'all Bengals fans better hope that I find one of them up on stage at a Kid Cudi concert because, my goodness. No, they're going to be upset. They're going to be upset that they lost. Just saying. I tell you what, last night, so the only thing that angered me about social, so there's this one thing I'm going to tell you when we come back. Kenner and Kev with you here on a Wednesday. Social media all day today has angered me. There's one thing about last night's game that people seem to keep complaining about, and I'm like, why is that bother you? Why is that a thing? Why are we that soft as a society that we let this bother us? I'll tell you what that is next. Thank you, sports. Did you hear what Joe Biden said last night?
It's the Justin Kenner Show with Kev Nash.
Justin, you're awesome, baby.
Right here on 1410 ESPN Radio. ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
The forecast is calling for rain and 45 tonight. We have a high wind watch in effect for Thursday. Showers windy and 62. And then mostly cloudy. Slight chance of showers and 46 for Friday. I'm Rick Schremp for 1410 ESPN Radio.
Hey, it's Justin Kenner for my friends at Black Rock Bar and Grill. If you are a bourbon aficionado, you are going to want to listen up. Black Rock has a very special event coming up this Wednesday, February 8th from 5 to 9 p.m. It's the Black Rock Bourbon Tasting Event featuring Buffalo Trace, Weller Reserve, and the exclusive Black Rock Eagle Rare. This is an open invitation to come experience these fine bourbons at bottom-of-the-barrel pricing, no pun intended, of course. You'll have a chance to taste 1-ounce samples for just $5 each. Plus, there'll be 3 amazing specialty cocktails for you to experience, like a smoked old-fashioned and the Gold Rush, plus a special flight for that evening only consisting of Buffalo Trace, Weller Reserve, and Black Rock Eagle Rare. Why not make it an evening with some great appetizers as well? This special bourbon tasting event is one night only, this Wednesday, February 8th from 5 to 9 p.m. Make plans now to be at Black Rock Bar and Grill at Fairfield Commons in Beaver Creek and tell your friends. And as always, please drink responsibly.
Here at Roosters, we're not just a fun casual joint. We're a family. No matter who we are serving, our guests or our community, we strive to better the lives of those around us. Whether it's aiding in the battle against cancer, helping to educate the next generation, or simply putting a smile on someone's face, the Roosters Foundation has helped raise over $1 million annually for local charities. Our community has given us so much. This is the least we can do. Roosters, we're a fun casual joint, but so much more.
AC or heat problem? It's BOGO season, baby. Invest in a 16-SEER AC unit and get an 80% furnace completely free. Just pay labor and permits. Call Drake Heating and Air at 937-472-0640.
Science proves quality sleep is vital to your mental, emotional, and physical health. The Sleep Number 360 smart bed senses your movements and automatically adjusts to help keep you both effortlessly comfortable. And it's temperature balancing, so you stay cool. So you're at your best for yourself and those you care about most. Life-changing sleep, only from Sleep Number. It's our ultimate Sleep Number event. Save 50% on the Sleep Number 360 limited edition smart bed, plus free home delivery when you add an adjustable base. Ends Monday. To learn more, go to sleepnumber.com.
Many Vietnam War veterans were unknowingly exposed to dangerous chemicals impacting their health and quality of life. There are now expanded benefits for veterans exposed to Agent Orange. Veterans with Parkinsonism, bladder cancer, or hypothyroidism who previously applied for VA disability compensation but were denied should reapply and might be eligible for retroactive compensation. Exposed veterans who have not yet applied should consider filing a new claim. For assistance, call Montgomery County Veterans Service Commission at 937-225-4801.
$5,000 sign-on bonus. That's right. My friends at Cordell Transportation are now hiring experienced Class A CDL drivers with excellent work history. If that's you, apply now. Cordell Transportation offers home daily dedicated lanes, no-touch freight, and brand new equipment, plus a $5,000 sign-on bonus paid over 18 months, paid orientation, and company 401k with company match. Apply online at CordellTransportation.com. Cordell Transportation, driven to succeed.
Eric was way behind on his taxes.
I owed a lot of money to the IRS, almost $15,000. I tried to make payments.
The IRS wasn't satisfied with Eric's efforts, so they came after him full force.
They're coming to put a lien and a hold on all my income, my home, my car. I was just overwhelmed at what to do.
Then Eric called Optima Tax Relief.
When Optima Tax got involved, the calls would stop, the threats would stop. It was easy like 1, 2, 3.
Optima Tax Relief is A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, and their team of expert tax professionals took care of Eric's problem.
I owe $15,000, and now my debt is clean. I don't owe anything.
Take Eric's advice.
If you have a tax problem, you need to call Optima Tax now.
Call Optima Tax Relief for a free consultation. Call 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Winter is here, and Rob's Beer Barn is stocked with the newest seasonal beers and refreshments. That means Rob's Beer Barn has you covered for all your needs, including for the big game on Sunday, February 12th. At Rob's, you can find all the ice-cold refreshments you'll need. Craft, imported, local, and seasonal beers, fine wine, snacks, and ice. Plus, Rob's Beer Barn has apparel and gift cards. You can call, walk in, or drive through. Rob's Beer Barn on Indian Ripple Road at Darst, just a mile east of the green. Rob's Beer Barn, just look for the beaver.
Have you ever noticed that when the afternoon light hits your floors, you can see everything, including dust?
So much dust.
And that floor dust gets kicked up into the air, compromising the quality of air you and your family breathe. Swiffer Heavy Duty Sweeper is the fast and easy way to clean your floors, with ultra-thick pads that trap and lock dust before it gets in the air. Just a couple minutes a day,
And dust is gone.
Swiffer Heavy Duty Sweeper. Proud partner of the American Lung Association.
Progressive presents Adjusting to the Suburbs.
It never dawned on me how much walking I used to do until I bought a house in the suburbs. Like when I'd say, I'm going for coffee, of course I was walking, but now it's like 3 miles and no latte's worth that. I find myself inviting people on walks with me like it's a scheduled activity. This morning, my neighbor asked me what I'm doing, and I actually said, I'm going for a walk with Nancy.
Anyway, when you save with Progressive by bundling your home and auto, that's the easy part of adjusting to the suburbs. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company. Coverage provided in service by affiliates and third-party insurers.
Wendy's homestyle French toast sticks are so good. Some are saying they're better than their moms. Perfectly crispy, perfectly golden brown. Try Wendy's homestyle French toast sticks today and see if they're better than your mom's.
All right, and we are back. Kenner and Kev with you here on a Wednesday. 518-1410, 518-1410. That's the number to call and jump in on the conversation. You can also text the show on that same number, 518-1410. Text that number, 518-1410. Your thoughts. LeBron, the NBA's all-time scoring scoring leader now. And by the way, it almost felt like we were bidding farewell to LeBron. I mean, he made it clear. It was actually kind of interesting, some of his comments, Kev, because at one point he goes, I'm not going anywhere. And then he said he still has a lot left in the tank when his interview with Shaquille O'Neal, and basically said, I still have a lot left. I have enough to lead, whether it's this team or any other team, to more championships. So I thought that phrasing was kind of interesting. I thought, no, LeBron ain't ever going to leave the Lakers, but there is part of me now, because I thought about it. I could tell he's been on cruise control going after this record. But now I wonder if he turns his attention, like you said, either to that assist record, which he's not going to be the league's all-time assist leader.
He probably can. At this rate, he's behind Chris Paul. Chris Paul is, I want to say, 4th. I think LeBron is like 5th or whatever. So I think highest he can probably get is 3rd. But I mean, shoot, way Chris Paul playing, he can catch Chris Paul, because Chris Paul is only playing like 20 minutes a game right now.
So it's either that or he turns his attention back towards championships. And I'm not saying he hasn't cared about that a lot, but it does seem like this scoring thing was like all on his mind. I know he kept saying, I've never thought about it, blah, blah, blah. He did all these interviews saying, I never dreamed about doing it. But then last night in his, speech, when he dropped the F-bomb, he goes, thank you for letting me do something I've dreamed my entire life of doing. Now, I'm assuming he meant playing in the NBA, but who knows? All right. So my other thing about last night, Kev, if you were at the Staples Center, and it's Staples Center, I don't care about what they call it.
Back in my day,
it was the Staples Center growing up, and my God, that's what it's going to be called until I die. So, the Staples Center. Let's say you were there last night. That the next shot is going to break that record. Are you on your phone recording it, or are you just sitting back, relaxing, watching it?
I'm gonna get it on my phone. But I'm be trying to watch them with my eyes, and I know what you're going to. That's a moment in history right there.
Yep.
Like, hey man, I know Phil Knight, the owner of Nike, he's sitting down, he's chilling, he's not recording, he's just taking it all in with his eyes and everything like that. But guess what? I want to get this moment. I want to get it. I want to get it on film because I'm there. How cool is that? That's very cool. And I know a lot of people talk about like, oh man, this person's shot or that person's moment in time, people weren't on their cell phones. A lot of these times there weren't cell phones out, or if they were, they weren't good cell phones. You're playing Snake on your cell phone. Like they weren't any good. But these things right here, these bad boys right here, these are computers. Use it. I have no problem with it. I mean, I do understand like when people are like at concerts and all they're doing is taping the concert, like that's weird to me. But like that shot right there, I would have recorded it for sure.
So yes, and by the way, I don't know how many of you use Snapchat. I'm sure a lot of you use Snapchat, but there are people on Snapchat that I actually delete. If you are at a concert and you post the whole song on Snap or on your stories, like it's cool. You want to take, yeah. You know, you want to let people know you're at a concert, cool, do it. But this idea, but I mean, when you go, you know how it starts loading or starts kind of, kind of loops around, and you do like 5 or 6 of that. It used to just be 4. I thought you could only go 4 now.
It go forever.
It's wild. But to me, so I could not believe I tweeted this out earlier today. I'm like, maybe it's just my Twitter feed, but the amount of people pretending to be outraged about all of the fans on their phones during LeBron's historic shot, it's odd. Like it's amazing to me the things that we let bother us. And like, it's one thing if like you're just pointing it out, be like, man, if you zoom in, look at everyone's on their phone. Like, cause I thought the picture looked neat. I'm like, man, everyone's on their phone. That was just an observation. Then I started realizing that people aren't making observations. They're outraged. The do-gooders, they're just so upset. I mean, my gosh, I saw someone a little bit ago, I had a blue check mark, a radio host over in Cleveland that, oh my gosh, we as a society are doomed. What the hell are you talking about? Wow, I was going to say, that's how fired. I'm like, why do we do this? And why do I let this stuff bother me? But like, I just can't stand people sometimes. Like, what are we doing? Why does that bother you? And you know what? I saw something a little bit ago. They were, I forgot who countered with it. It was a video of when Barry Bonds, when he swung and he set the home run record or whatever. Guess what you saw all throughout the stands? Everyone forgot to turn the flash off on your little disposable cameras or whatever the heck it was. But like, it was lighting up like the 4th of July from people with their cameras and stuff. These phones are cameras. And you bet your ass if I was at that game last night, I'm holding my phone up. I'm going to get that. Now people say, well, why do you need to record it? It's going to be across everything, because 15, 20 years from now, it's cool to have something. It's no different than and by the way, if we didn't have these phones, those little disposable cameras or whatever, or the digital cameras, whatever, everyone's going to have one of those in their hand, taking a picture of it. I'm just like, why is this? Why does it do the sanctimonious? Like, oh man, I would never. No, it's because you're too poor. You couldn't afford to go. Like me, I couldn't afford to go. But if I could afford to go, and I know I make a lot of money here at old WING, my bosses keep getting mad because I keep turning down raises and stuff. They're like, Kenner, please take another raise. I'm like, sir, stop. I have enough money. I just can't afford to go to that. But if I could, man, you bet your ass I'd have that phone out.
Absolutely.
I mean, my goodness. And sometimes I get like, and this is weird when I'm at an event, I'm like, how much of this should I be recording on my phone, or should I be getting a picture of this, or should I be? I do have that problem though. I can acknowledge that, like, man, sometimes I'm more worried about getting a picture or a video instead of just enjoying it or whatever. But that's because later on, I love going through my phone. It's cool. The stuff I've done over the last couple of years, whether it's anything work related that we've had the pleasure doing, it is cool. Go back, look at those pictures, videos of just cool stuff that we've been able to do. So I'm just amazed at how people get angry.
That's one thing I regret about my career. Like, there's so many occasions where I had the chance to take pictures with, famous people, celebrities or whatever. And I passed up on the opportunity because I don't want to be that guy to bug them and take a picture. I'll give them a handshake. Hey, nice to meet you, and keep it pushing. But now I'm like, man, I really wish I'd have did that. Really wish I would have got that picture. So, I mean, when I go to concerts, me and the wife take a selfie and then probably get a little video of the set or whatever. And then I enjoy the show for what it is. I am not one of those people that record the entire show on Facebook Live or anything like that. But like this moment right here, I would have definitely got a picture and video for sure.
So years ago, it was actually the last year that the Dayton Flyers were in the NCAA tournament. It was Archie's last year. And I ran into Jim Nance. I was leaving. I went down to the floor one more time. It was after, because I stayed for the game after. Kentucky actually played Northern Kentucky. That was Northern's like very first year as a D1 team ever. And then they're going up against Kentucky. Pretty cool. I stayed for the second game after UD and Wichita State. But after the games were done, I went back down to the floor so I could just get a picture down on the floor. Not like of me, but just down, because I thought the NCAA branded courts, all that looked really cool, whatever. And that was my first tournament game I'd ever covered, as far as, especially over in Indianapolis, not a first 4 game. And as I'm leaving, I run into Jim Nance. I'm like, oh my God, I got to get a picture with Jim Nance or whatever. But I left my phone down because we actually had a conversation. I'm like, this is way cooler. I mean, I could stop our conversation, do a picture, but I don't know if you ever watched the show How I Met Your Mother.
I'm familiar.
There's he does appear in an episode on How I Met Your Mother. So there's all these things we could be talking about. The Masters. We could be talking about all the. We spent 15, 20 minutes, me and Jim Nantz, just talking about his appearance on How I Met Your Mother. It was the coolest experience ever. I have no picture. I have no video. And I was so angry on the way home because all I have is this stupid story that I could just be making up right now. But it was the coolest 15, 20-minute conversation I've ever had that there's no proof of pictures or anything of the time I met him. But yeah, of all the things, those games or something. What'd you think about Wichita taking out Dayton? Oh man, how about Northern Kentucky making it was a single digit game with under 10 minutes to go against Kentucky? What'd you think? No, we're talking Barney Stinson and How I Met Your Mother. It was the coolest experience ever, and I have nothing to show for it. So
well, it didn't happen.
I'd rather have the picture.
Post it.
I'd rather instead of the conversation, I'd rather have the picture with him to say, "Hey, look, I met Jim Nantz after the game." No,
that's how it works in the age of social media. If you don't post it, it didn't happen.
It's like a workout.
Did you get my update?
Yeah. And by the way, I got a little Apple Watch thing. This thing, by the way, pisses me off because every once in a while you need to stand up. Hey, you haven't worked out in 3 days, man. It's like a wife on my wrist right now. It's just, and then to top it all off, I just when I can't feel any fatter. Oh, look, Kev finished a workout at 5:55 this morning. How awesome. By the way, I don't even set my alarm. I just have to get the notification that Kev finished his workout in the morning. How cool is that?
2 a day is coming soon.
So, yeah, no kidding. Let's see. Mark Smith says, yeah, Bronny, he was recording on his phone. It was cool.
And he lives with the man.
Brian Windhorst today was sharing a story on First Take. He goes, the wild thing was watching him celebrate with Bronny and what's his other son's name? Bryce. He goes, he remembers when he was in Cleveland the first time and Bronny running around the Cavs locker room. He said he just remembers this one time that Bronny picked up a piece of ice and was chucking it at players. And all of a sudden you hear, Bronny, no. But like he just said, he goes, that was the last time I saw those two together was him. And then now here they are celebrating. But like, I don't know why I thought it was so funny, but just like the story of like in the locker room and he's chucking ice at people.
Good kid. Like him.
Kids suck. Anyways, yeah. Aren't they so cute? Yeah. Look at the way they just ball up ice and throw at people. Yeah. It's adorable. See how funny it is when I do it. Not so much. All right. Kinner and Cav with you here on 1410 ESPN Radio. Let me ask you this, Kev. Roger Goodell was just asked about his thoughts on officiating. Bengals fans, I don't think you're big fans of officiating. On a scale of 1 to 10, you'd probably give it a -5. But Roger Goodell was asked about his thoughts on officiating. You have a guess as what he said, Kev?
I do.
You want to get?
I'll tell you. Okay. I'm going to think he's going to say, I think our officials are the best in the world. I think that's what he's going to say because he's not lying. They are the best because they're the only officials out there. So I think he's going to back his officials.
So he was asked about it. Roger Goodell on the state of today's officiating. ESPN's Adam Schefter tweets out, I don't think it's ever been better.
Told you.
Bengals fans, let's chat, shall we? Do you agree with Roger Goodell? No, I love the week to build to the Super Bowl because a lot of times the biggest headlines that come out of this stuff, it's not even about the Super Bowl itself. It's usually about dumb comments like this, because when you get this many people flying in and you force them in front of media, there's a lot of things being said. This is why last year we were talking a lot about Carson Palmer and all the things he had to say about the Bengals and whether they were going to take care of Joe Burrow and yada, yada. Remember, that's where a lot of these comments come from. Chris Sims had a very interesting comment about Jalen Hurts that we're going to get to coming up in hour 2. But yeah, we have a lot to get to, but I want to pick up with this on the other side. Some of these comments from Media Row, just from Radio Row, pretty interesting nonetheless. But yeah, Roger Goodell, he believes that officiating has never been better. And he also was very pleased with the Pro Bowl. So that's going nowhere either. Roger Goodell making fans everywhere he goes. We'll be right back.
Listen, stream, watch. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash right here on Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM.
DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of Super Bowl 57, is officially live in Ohio. Now you can legally bet on all your favorite sports anytime and anywhere right here in Ohio with DraftKings. For a limited time, new customers who sign up with code WING1410 and bet $5 or more will receive $200 in bonus bets instantly. The Super Bowl is coming up, and I got Philadelphia on the money line, plus their defense to score a touchdown. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. New customers can use code WING1410 to get $200 in bonus bets instantly when you place a $5 bet on anything. That's code WING1410. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 and up. Physically present in Ohio. Valid one offer per first-time depositor who have not already redeemed $200 in free bets via pre-launch offer. Minimum $5 deposit and wager. $200 issued as bonus bets. Eligibility restrictions apply. See dkng.co/OH for terms.
Meet Joe A,
Hi.
Joe B,
Hello.
and Joe C.
What's up?
3 everyday Joes perfecting their banking with Chase. Joe A is locking his lost debit card with the Chase mobile app. Joe B is cruising toward his new ride with AutoSave. And Joe C's Chase banker is helping him budget to go back to school. Tools that help protect, support for what's next. One bank that puts you in control. Visit chase.com/checking. Chase, make more of what's yours.
Chase mobile app is available for select mobile devices. Messaging and data rates may apply. JP Morgan Chase Bank, N.A. member FDIC.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
If you need new roofing, siding, or gutters, skylights, or patio enclosures, if you're a homeowner or business and need someone you can trust, don't take a chance. Enhance with Lance. Lance Roofing and Siding in Fairborn has been satisfying customers since 1993 and hold an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. Lance Roofing and Siding, 8460 Dayton Springfield Road in Fairborn. Call for a free estimate at 864-2722. That's 864-2722 or online at lanceroofing.com.
Want to know how you can satisfy every comfort food craving? Stop by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken and try a home-style bowl for only $4.59. You'll get a bowl of our mashed potatoes with breast strip bites, corn, and gravy, all topped off with shredded cheddar cheese to create a truly unbeatable bowl. Get your every wish in one hearty, craveable dish when you try a home-style bowl from Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken for only $4.59. Only at Lee's. Famous for chicken.
Still overpaying for a razor? In this economy? Gross. At Dollar Shave Club, you can get a top shelf shave at a regular shelf price. We've been hawking shaving products for years online, and we're excited to bring you the same great quality and low prices at a store near you. From high-quality stainless steel blades to super smooth shave creams, Dollar Shave Club's in the business of making your shave easier. Find Dollar Shave Club in the men's razor aisle. Getting your Dollar Shave Club razor wherever you want. Isn't that great?
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. Thinking about gas mileage? If your check engine light is on, it may be affecting your MPGs, but the free AutoZone Fix Finder service can help. With the most complete free warning light report backed by technician-verified fixes, you'll know what's affecting your gas mileage and more, and you don't have to drive too far to find the fix. The free AutoZone Fix Finder service is available at all 6,200 stores.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
See details at AutoZone.com.
Prescription products require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if a prescription is appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for full details and important safety information. Subscription required.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same but is 90% cheaper? And you can get it online? Just go to 4hims.com/joy. At Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and trusted generic alternatives to the biggest brands at 90% off. That's right, get generic for Viagra, the same active ingredient as brand name Viagra, but 90% cheaper. It's the same medication you get from your doctor, but with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, 4hims.com/joy. That's 4hims.com/joy for your free online visit. FORHIMS.com/JOY.
Listen to this station anytime, anywhere on Odyssey. Odyssey is your new audio home for all the music, news, sports, and podcasts that matter to you. Odyssey. That's AUDACY.
$5,000 sign-on bonus. That's right. My friends at Cordell Transportation are now hiring experienced Class A CDL drivers with excellent work history. If that's you, apply now. Cordell Transportation offers home daily dedicated lanes, no-touch freight, and brand new equipment, plus a $5,000 sign-on bonus paid over 18 months, paid orientation, and company 401k with company match. Apply online at CordellTransportation.com. Cordell Transportation, driven to succeed.
The Flowerman here with our annual Valentine's Day tradition. A dozen roses for $12.99. That's incredible. A dozen roses, only $12.99. So beautiful. I'm starting to tear up. A dozen roses for Valentine's, only $12.99. Go to flowermanflowers.com. That's flowermanflowers.com.
Jackson Hewitt guarantees your biggest tax refund, plus a chance to double your refund with the Double Your Refund sweepstakes. No purchase necessary. U.S. residents 18 or older who file a 2022 federal return ends 4/2/23.
For adults with moderate to severe plaque psoriasis who are candidates for systemic or phototherapy, now there's Skyrizi, Risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection. With Skyrizi, 3 out of 4 people achieve 90% clear skin at 4 months, and Skyrizi is just 4 doses a year after 2 starter doses.
Nothing and me go hand in hand. Nothing on my skin, that's my new plan. Nothing is every day.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check for infection and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms, such as fever, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, or if you plan to or recently received a vaccine.
With Skyrizi, you could achieve 90% clearer skin. Ask your doctor about the #1 dermatologist prescribed biologic in psoriasis and visit skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKYRIZI to learn more.
My dad has a cold, but also has high blood pressure. That's why I got him Vicks NyQuil High Blood Pressure for fast, powerful nighttime relief. Unlike some ordinary cold medicines, it's specially formulated for people like my dad. NyQuil High Blood Pressure is sugar-free, alcohol-free, and decongestant-free.
Vicks NyQuil High Blood Pressure. The nighttime sniffling, sneezing, coughing, aching, fever, sore throat, cold and flu for people with high blood pressure.
Like my dad.
Medicine. Use as directed.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
It's time to say goodnight to that check engine light with the free AutoZone Fix Finder service. It'll help troubleshoot the likely cause of your light for free. Restrictions apply. Get in the zone. AutoZone.
Hey everybody, it's Stephen A. Smith, and everyone knows my feelings on Cowboys fans. But really, Justin Kinner, you're a Cowboys fan and a Browns fan? Good Lord have mercy. I don't know what the hell to do with y'all. I really don't.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash. Weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m. on 1410 ESPN Radio.
Keyshawn Johnson will be on the show with us tomorrow as we gear up for Super Bowl 57, Eagles and Chiefs. We talked about it on yesterday's show. It just, for whatever reason, and we're not blaming you, the listeners, but we go as you guys go. And I don't think you guys don't seem to be as into this Super Bowl as what we have in years past. And when I've had to figure out a way to put my finger on it as to what it is, I think it always comes back to you were expecting to see your team there, and it's tough to get excited for a game that you can't stop visualizing your team being there, especially because they got there a year ago, especially because they were this close to knocking off the Chiefs in the AFC Championship game. It is a weird dynamic about the Super Bowl. We've been doing this show for many years, doing a sports talk radio show in Ohio. We have become very used to not talking about our teams in the Super Bowl. So what the hell is the big deal, right? Because y'all got spoiled this last year in all regular season. Expectations really ruined it. That's why I love doing a show in Dayton. We talk about a bunch of teams that don't ever do a damn thing. So it's like you can't be disappointed. We just talk about everyone else's success. But nonetheless, speaking of success, the Dayton Flyers up and down up and down. I mean, my goodness, it's been the most inconsistent season ever, but one game they make you feel like you're about to give up on them, and the next game they suck you right back in. And last night, that big win on the road against VCU. I do know this. I was a little concerned about Norm Grevey coming in to do the show today, but after watching what they did last night, shorthanded, banged up, Malachi Smith out again. They've looked pretty solid out there last night on the road at VCU, the top team in the conference. UD still feels like they're the best team in the conference. Their play has not equaled that, but can they build off of that? They got another big one coming up this weekend. Norm Grevey, former Flyer, 50 minutes from now, he'll join us coming up here in studio. And then we got Milano's coming in. Shout out to Milano's.
Looks like I'm sticking around.
No. But yes, shout out to Larry from Milano's. Always appreciate our partnership with Milano's over there on Brown Street. Larry does a great job, and he loves Norm. So he said, "Well, no, Norm's coming in." I'm like, I'm in every day, Larry. What the hell, man? But nonetheless,
he's a Bengals fan. You're a Browns fan.
He's a UD fan. I'm a Wright State fan. I always say so that's what's crazy. So a lot of our clients and sponsors of the show, all I do is crap on their teams, and yet we're all super close. Well, it's amazing. I can't bring up some of the other owners because it's conflicting businesses with theirs, but it's just amazing to me. Some of my closest friends are our clients that are Bengals fans, UD fans, and I don't follow the same teams they do. It's amazing. It's amazing. But,
put it to the side. Put it to the side.
We'll talk all things Dayton Flyers coming up. Norm Grevey, 5:00. Wright State Raiders, they're in action coming up later on tonight. They have IUPUI at home, 7:00 to tip off there. And then on Friday night, Kev, they're on ESPNU, I believe, and that's a 9 p.m. tip off. But they got Northern Kentucky. I know. Look, I wish attendance was better at these Wright State games. I wish the city gave that, program more support to whatever. But I will say, if there's a game every year that you circle to go to the Nutter Center, that will give you those old school Wright State vibes back when they used to fill up that Nutter Center from top to bottom. I'm telling you, the NKU game that's the game to go to. ESPN game, it's a big time rivalry game. Like Wright State and NKU, that's a real rivalry now. Yeah. I know y'all can roll your eyes. You can do whatever you want. Don't really care. I'm telling you, that's the game you need to go to. You don't have to, I go to UD games. No, it has nothing to do with that. There are two teams in this city, two teams that are trying to find their footing as we are right now in the early goings of February. I mean, hell, the boys and girls high school basketball tournaments are tipping off. I just realized that. I just talked to the guys at the OHSA. We're going to be giving away some state basketball tickets at UD Arena coming up. I'm excited about that. But yes, when I heard from Tim Street the other day, I'm like, holy crap, what the heck? I feel like basketball just started because football.
Rules the day.
Yep.
Wright State. Is this going to be a blackout game?
Green outs.
Green out.
So I will say, by the way, I love the T-shirts, all that stuff they give away and all that stuff. But whiteouts, that's it. That should be the rule, Wright State. Do whiteouts only.
No, I love the black jerseys.
No. But on TV, it doesn't look good to me. I think the black jerseys all blend in. No, the jerseys I love the black jerseys. Don't get me. Those are my favorite ones, actually, the black jerseys. I agree with you. But I'm talking about for the shirts for the fans.
Oh, okay.
So on TV, I don't think it pops. You can't see it. By the way, I'm not being negative for my Wright State people listening. Relax. I'm not, but whatever. It is what it is. The white out to me always just pops. I'm always a big fan of the white out, or at least a bright green or something. But the blackout, it always kind of blends in.
I know you love Penn State.
But yeah. So, anyways, nonetheless, but Friday night, 9:00, Wright State, NKU, Nutter Center. This might be, again, this isn't the best Wright State team that they've had since Coach Nagy has got here. But to be fair, this isn't the team that he was supposed to have this year anyways. His top two players, one's sitting the bench at Ohio State, not doing a dang thing. And the other one, the one I thought was the silliest of the two to leave, I thought Grandpa Silly. I was like, dude, don't leave. What are you doing? Come on.
Balling.
You're a big guy. Dominate the Horizon League. Don't go to the ACC and just sit. Tanner, good for you, man. I thought Tanner was going to kill it. And I'm a Tanner supporter. I don't wish anything bad on him, but he's one of those that you look at and say, well, if you can get a truthful response from him, was it worth it to transfer out? Was it worth it? I don't know. We looked up some of the NIL numbers. I don't like throwing those out over the year because we don't know the range from what you found yesterday to what I've come across. It's all over the place. So I have no clue. I do know this. If I was a college athlete and NIL money was dropped in my lap, I don't know how loyal I would be, So I don't know. I mean, I would like to, I'm a pretty loyal dude. Don't get me wrong, but I mean, who knows? When you're that young, you have money plopped in your lap.
Yeah, that's the thing about it is like you just said, like the numbers you heard and the numbers that I found, like they're vastly different. So let's just cut the difference and we know what those numbers are personally. So if it's in the middle, would you have left for that amount of money?
I would have left for the lower end too at that age. At that age. I mean,
know.
but to be fair, you're playing at Ohio State. I get that too. And you have confidence in yourself to go there.
Right.
It's not, I mean, knowing what you know now, maybe he probably
Yeah.
regrets it. But at that time, oh man, Chris Holtmann wants me. The Ohio State wants me. Man, he had a bunch of MAC offers. He didn't have a lot of big offers coming
Right.
out. He was Mr. Football.
Right.
Hell of an athlete. And he just, he looked the part out there on the floor. But Tanner not succeeding at Ohio State. And by the way, like I've said before, 5 points per game at Ohio State is still an accomplishment. But that Grant Basile kid, damn it, he's tearing it up for Virginia Tech. Tearing it up. He tore Dayton. He destroyed Dayton. He whooped Dayton's behind when they played about a month ago.
Yes, I just look at Tanner and I'm like, man, he's averaging 5 points a game at Ohio State. And he averaged 20 points a game last year, almost 20 points last year at Wright State. Like, would he be up to the 26 points a game this year? I mean, he was shooting at like almost like 60-something% a lot of these games, man. It just obviously from the fan perspective, and I feel like a lot of other fans when, guys hit the transfer portal, because obviously I'm a fan of my alma mater and I want them to win all the time. But it's like, man, with the way Trey Calvin's playing, if Tanner was still back, like, dude, there's no question how good they would be if both of the guys came back.
Trey just dropped 40.
Yeah.
He just dropped 40 in that triple overtime loss against, by the way. What here's the difference. And this is what's interesting to me.
City.
So you see the players that leave Wright State going on, like they're leaving Wright State, they're going to Ohio State, they're going to Virginia Tech. And one is just killing it. And like I said, 5 points a game at Ohio State. Like, let's be real. Like, that's not playing at Wright State in the Horizon League. Now you're averaging 5 points per game in the Big Ten. You're not a horrible basketball player. It just, you didn't take, and there's still another month and a half of the season left. Who knows what Tanner does? Who knows what Ohio State does? They're obviously in a rut right now. They has not been good since January. But man, I'm like, I look at the players that leave Wright State, and then I'm looking at the players that leave Dayton, and Cohill, if the Flyers could bring back one player that transferred out, Dwayne Cohill, in a heartbeat.
Mm-hmm.
In a heartbeat. There's another player that transferred from Wright State. I don't know if look, we talk a lot about Malachi Smith with the Dayton Flyers. There's a kid named Malachi Smith that was at Wright State for a year, that won Freshman of the Year in the Horizon League, that ultimately transferred to Tennessee Tech, maybe? I think it was Tennessee Tech. And I don't know what conference they're in. I can't think of it off the top of my head, but he won Player of the Year in that conference, and they were really loaded. And he was really, really good. He's now
Gonzaga.
He's at Gonzaga now, but he was at Tennessee Tech before?
I'm still booting up,
No, you're good. You're good. This, check your internet. What's wild to me is that the Dwayne Cohill guy that left UD, and I had no issue with him leaving UD because it wasn't working. There wasn't a role for him. There was better guys in front of him, but I don't see one.
Chattanooga.
Okay, so Chattanooga. Okay, I knew it was a Tennessee team. There is not one player on this Dayton Flyers roster at the guard position that is better than Dwayne Cohill right now. Dwayne Cohill is absolutely dominating, and I know he's dominating in the Horizon League, but all you got to do is just watch him and look at him and see how he plays, and I can tell you right now he's better than any guard that's on this Flyers roster right now. Was he when he left? Absolutely not. But that's what's wild, Kev, is like sometimes like you sit on these kids for a couple years and you think you got them figured out, and then they leave and you see them later. You're like, hold up, that's the dude? Grant Basile, very, very good. He wasn't a Player of the Year candidate, or then all of a sudden he takes off and then he's one of the top players in the ACC. It doesn't make sense. Doesn't make Malachi Smith at Wright State, very, very good freshman. He leaves. You think, okay, whatever. And now he's at Gonzaga, putting up good numbers for Gonzaga. He was Player of the Year for Chattanooga last year, one of the top mid-majors out there. So I say all this because, man, it's just sometimes it's a gamble. You want to bring in great players, but it's tough to do. You lose players that you think aren't a big deal to lose, and you look at them later. Dwayne Cohill's been fantastic for Youngstown State. He's the one that dropped 40 on Wright State at the Nutter Center about a month and a half ago. No, that was back in December.
Yeah.
And then in triple overtime, Calvin drops 40 whatever points, and he hit like every clutch shot to close out each overtime, regulation, 2 overtimes, and then Dwayne Cohill gets the inbounds pass, dribbles it coast to coast, and lays it in as the clock expired.
Got back to that left hand, man.
I'm ready for March Madness, by the way. I do love, like the UD games are on CBS Sports Network. I love the CBS Sports theme, the college basketball theme. I just instantly, it takes me into March. It makes me think of March Madness. I'm picturing the March Madness themed floors. I'm thinking of the first four. I'm thinking of it all. Thinking of Clark Kellogg. I cannot wait for March Madness.
It's going down. We're going to go to the first four this year. What's up?
Yeah, it'd be interesting. Man, last year was wild having Wright State there. That was pretty dang cool.
You know the thing that I think about with the first
Don't get out of hand now. Don't get out of hand.
No, when we went down there for media day and we met Avery Johnson, and when we were leaving, the Hummer didn't start.
Oh, the Hot 1029 Hummer. We're just. Oh yeah, yep. Avery Johnson. That was cool chatting with him last year.
The Admiral,
so
the little general.
Yeah, but nonetheless, you know what time of season? You know, it's not March Madness yet. But you know what time of season it is?
Tax time.
Tax season. That's right. And for those of you out there who are probably like me and you wait to the last minute, let's not wait to the last minute to get your taxes done this year. In fact, a lot of times the reason some people put it off is because, like, okay, do you just, where do you go? Do you have a guy that does it for you? Do you try to do it online? I'm here to give you a suggestion. I know a guy that's going to just basically take all the stress out of tax season for you. His name is Michael Maxwell with Arrowhead Tax Service. He's over in New Carlisle. Now, keep in mind, I say he's over in New Carlisle, but I think it's pretty cool with that. With the Taxes to Go app, you can send all of your information to him without having to go in. So the location really doesn't matter. And this is a guy that takes care of all of my taxes, me and my wife, Kev and Shayla, him and his wife, and then Keith Byers and everyone here at WING. Michael Maxwell is the guy that takes care of us, and he wants to take care of you guys as well. 25% off to all military, veterans, and first responders. And if you're wondering about pricing, don't worry. All you got to do is give him a call. He'll give you a free estimate. And he always takes care of our people. So make sure you guys, let him know that you heard the spot, that you heard us, hyping him up, that you heard us building him up on the air. Use the Taxes, download the Taxes to Go app, send all of your information to him after you've called him for that free estimate. Or if you are in that area and want to stop in, 113 West Jefferson Street in New Carlisle, give him a call, 937-543-5770. He does tax preparation. He can take care of your accounting and payroll. He can do it all. So one more time, Michael Maxwell, Arrowhead Tax Service. Don't wait to the last minute. Don't be like me. And as Michael says, let him take the stress out of tax season. Give him a call today.
The Taxes to Go app is amazing. We used it, and to be perfectly honest, I had to convince the wife to use the Taxes to Go app because she's like, no, I want to go in. I like to be there. I was like, trust me, we're good. Let's use the app. We won't have to go in. He handled everything, got everything back to us within an hour. And guess what? I'm waiting on my return right now.
Oh, you are?
Yes. I'm done. I'm good.
Yeah, he's
unlike some people I know.
Yeah, Andy called me today.
He out there?
He was out there. He was over at Michael's, and he said, hey, he hadn't heard from you yet, but he did say, this is cool. I love this. When clients tell us that people are calling and saying, hey, we heard you on with Kenner and Kev. We're calling because they recommended. That's cool. When that happens, we always feel really good about that. And according to Michael and Andy, they've actually had quite a few. So thank you guys, because you guys make us look better that way. Because we just think we're talking to 7 people on Facebook and 5 listeners that, have us on in the background while you're ordering something in the drive-thru or whatever. So, no, we appreciate all of you and thank you. But again, it's tax season. Let Michael Maxwell from Arrowhead Tax Service take the stress out of tax season. All right, Kev, Chris Sims, what you know about him?
Oh, used to be a quarterback at Texas, a little time in the NFL. He's a commentator now for what I want to say NBC Sports.
NBC Sports. Yep, he had a lot to say about old Jalen Hurts. We're at that point now where LeBron set I'm kind of glad LeBron broke the record last night because he got the attention he deserved, and it's not like it's done yet, but there is a Super Bowl. Yeah. There is a big game coming up on Sunday, and I think now that we're getting closer and closer, it's starting to kind of feel that way. Bengals fans, put your feelings aside. We're going to talk Super Bowl. You all have opinions on the Super Bowl. You had them before 2021, okay? Why or 22? Why all of a sudden now you guys can't stomach the Super Bowl? It's all right. You guys will be back, right? You got Joe Burrow, right? Like you'll be back, right? I mean, come on. But Chris Sims had some interesting things to say about Jalen Hurts, a quarterback taken in the same draft as Joe Burrow. Chris Sims, does he have a point about Jalen Hurts? I'll have that audio coming up for you. Kevin and I respond. We'll get to all that coming up next.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio. ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
The forecast is calling for rain and 45 tonight. We have a high wind watch in effect for Thursday. Showers windy and 62. And then mostly cloudy. Slight chance of showers and 46 for Friday. I'm Rick Schremp for 1410 ESPN Radio.
Hey, it's Justin Kinner from my friends at Black Rock Bar and Grill. If you are a bourbon aficionado, you are going to want to listen up. Black Rock has a very special event coming up this Wednesday, February 8th from 5 to 9 p.m. It's the Black Rock Bourbon Tasting Event featuring Buffalo Trace, Weller Reserve, and the exclusive Black Rock Eagle Rare. This is an open invitation to come experience these fine bourbons at bottom-of-the-barrel pricing, no pun intended, of course. You'll have a chance to taste 1-ounce samples for just $5 each, plus there'll be 3 amazing specialty cocktails for you to experience, like a smoked old-fashioned and the Gold Rush, plus a special flight for that evening only consisting of Buffalo Trace, Weller Reserve, and Black Rock Eagle Rare. Why not make it an evening with some great appetizers as well? This special bourbon tasting event is one night only, this Wednesday, February 8th from 5 to 9 p.m. Make plans now to be at Black Rock Bar and Grill at Fairfield Commons in Beaver Creek and tell your friends. And as always, please drink responsibly.
This is Education Matters with Ohio Education Association President Scott Tomorrow.
Black history is American history. In this Black History Month, we are celebrating the many Black Americans who have made our country so great. But more than that, we must come together to reflect on the Black experience in our country, the good and the bad, because our students deserve an honest education that allows them to reckon with the past to make the future better for all of us.
Education Matters, brought to you by the Ohio Education Association.
Are you involved with a school or charitable fundraiser that holds an auction, bid and buy booth, or a raffle to raise money? Many of the most popular items at auctions or booths are autographed sports memorabilia items. How can you get great items in your event? Call Adam Walter at Sports Investments. Sports Investments has a consignment program for fundraisers that has provided outstanding items. You select items that are proven sellers, including autographed pieces from Tiger Woods, LeBron James, Joey Votto, the Big Red Machine, the Bengals, the Browns, UC, XU, UK, NKU, Dayton, Louisville, Notre Dame, and Ohio State. Sports Investments consigns the items to your group at a highly discounted price. And when they sell, you keep the profit. You don't pay anything in advance. And if something doesn't sell, you simply return it. You'll enjoy the experience of dealing with the Walter family. Call them at 513-891-5000. Email Adam at sportsinvestments.com or visit them on Montgomery Road, right off I-275, just 40 minutes from WING.
Here at Roosters, we're not just a fun casual joint. We're a family. No matter who we are serving, our guests or our community, we strive to better the lives of those around us. Whether it's aiding in the battle against cancer, helping to educate the next generation, or simply putting a smile on someone's face, the Roosters Foundation has helped raise over $1 million annually for local charities. Our community has given us so much. This is the least we can do. Roosters, we're a fun casual joint, but so much more.
What's for dinner? Burgers?
After last week, no thanks.
Avoiding foods due to fear of diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose, oily stools? It may not be just stomach issues. It could be EPI, or exocrine pancreatic insufficiency. EPI can cause uncomfortable symptoms because it's a condition where the pancreas doesn't release enough digestive enzymes to break down food. But EPI can be managed. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and talk to your doctor about your symptoms. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
Research shows listeners prefer a personalized experience. So to help you remember, Liberty Mutual customizes your home insurance. We personalized this ad for Amber, who really misses boy bands from the 90s.
Hey girl, I'm the cute one, here to tell you how Liberty Mutual customizes your home insurance so you only pay for what you need.
I'm the heartthrob. The only thing I love more than you is saving. And I'm the other boy in the band everyone forgot about.
Only pay for what you need at libertymutual.com.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Cordell Transportation is hiring third shift dispatcher / customer service representatives. Excellent pay, great benefits, no experience necessary, and paid training. Apply online at CordellTransportation.com or stop in today at 2942 Boulder Avenue in Dayton. Equal opportunity employer.
The all-new Chevrolet of Troy is now open. What are the advantages of shopping at Chevrolet of Troy? Selection has never been better, with over 300 new and pre-owned vehicles available. We always accept employee and supplier pricing, and we make financing easy. Customer service is our top priority. We care about you with thousands off MSRP, a full-service state-of-the-art dealership, and huge selection. Make Chevrolet of Troy your first stop today. 1375 South Market Street and online at ChevroletofTroy.com.
Listen to this station anytime, anywhere on Odyssey. Odyssey is your new audio home for all the music, news, sports, and podcasts that matter to you. Odyssey. That's AUDACY.
In this market, you'll find Fisher Investments is different than other money managers.
Different how? Aren't we all just looking for the hottest stocks?
Nope. We use diversified strategies to position our clients' portfolios for their long-term goals.
You don't just provide cookie-cutter portfolios?
No. We tailor our clients' portfolios to their goals and needs.
But you still sell investments that generate high commissions for you, right?
No, we don't sell commission-based products. We're a fiduciary, the highest standard of care for a financial advisor. It means we're obligated to act in our client's best interest.
So when do you make more money? Only when your clients make more money?
Yep, we have one transparent management fee structured so we do better when our clients do better.
Sounds like you really look out for your clients.
We do, because our priority is helping them achieve a comfortable retirement. That might be why most of our clients come from other money managers. Visit FisherInvestments.com to find out why investors like you switch to us. Fisher Investments, clearly different money management.
Investments in securities involve the risk of loss.
When you least expect it, life happens. You can count on McAfee's 24/7 service to be there when it does. Any season, anytime, McAfee.
Kenner and Kev with you live here on a Wednesday. Former Dayton Flyer Norm Grevey. He joins us coming up a half hour from now. We'll talk about the Flyers' win over VCU on the road last night. Just when you think the Flyers have officially just kind of derailed, all of a sudden they suck you back in by getting a big win at VCU last night. And I know Norm's excited about that, so we'll chat with the former Flyer coming up here top of the hour. NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell was asked about the state of officiating, and he basically said, as we talked about a little bit ago, he said, it's actually never been better.
All good in the hood.
It's all good in the hood. It's never been better. Never been better. Now, people are furious. Bengals fans are upset. I saw one that kind of made me laugh a little bit that said, well, yeah, they're following the script. They're doing what they're told. Well done. But
that's a good one.
Here's the deal. I'm usually anti-Roger Goodell. I don't agree with anything that he does or says, more often than not. But with this, he's doing what he's supposed to. Here's what you can't do if you're the commissioner of the NFL, especially the commissioner of a sport that already you have people floating out these conspiracy theories that there are scripts on how these games are supposed to play out. You know what you can't do if you're Roger Goodell? You can't say, yeah, officiating's been bad and we got to button that up, because I truly believe that is something that is not an overnight button-up fix. I believe officiating is a process as far as how it improves. You can't, and at the same time, let's be clear, there has to be, we have to come up to an agreement, Kev. I'm not saying officiating is great, but we have to make sure that we're all on the same page and say that a bad call, we got to learn the difference between a bad call and a bad rule.
Right.
How many of these calls, and there have been, so we're going to have examples of bad calls, especially in that Chiefs-Bengals game, the extra down, all that stuff. Yes, that's bad. But what people have a hard time comprehending is the difference between a dumb rule and a bad call.
Right.
Because that's what some people just can't seem to get over. I think that when it comes to officiating, I have never once watched a game and thought, man, this is one hell of an officiated game. I love that official over there. I want his jersey. I want her jersey. I want whatever. No, we only notice officiating when it's bad. And we always seem to notice it for our teams. Has anyone ever, Bengals fans, especially you guys always, oh man, the officials are out to get us. They don't like us. There's not one thing about your team that the officials don't like. You're a likable team. You have characters. You have personalities. You have Joe Burr. You have everything. Stop with this idea that the officials don't like you. The officials make bad calls against you. They made bad calls against the Chiefs. They make bad calls against everybody. I don't really want to go back and rewind to that AFC Championship game. I'm just localizing a bit because you guys are the ones crying the most about it. But at the end of the day, Kev, you hear Roger Goodell say that. I think that because there's so many reports out there of the scripts and all this stuff, what you can't do is you can't fan the flame of bad officiating. I think that you have to continue. By the way, you need officials. It's a small group of people.
Right.
But there's billions on the line. You know what you can't afford? Lockouts from officials. Because those officials, if they refuse to do games because the commissioner's burying them, fans are throwing stuff at them, players are crapping on them, coaches can't stand them. Man, these are the most hated people in the world outside of – nope, not doing politics. Sorry. Not going there. Stick to sports.
Last night was awesome.
That was, by the way. I mean, that was the most. I mean, what you're watching is something that is, historic and significant. And then people are yelling and screaming. And then you got then you got Biden. I mean, anyways, the officials, Kev, you hear Roger Goodell say that what?
On brand. This is on brand. You're right. He can't go in front of the media and do these NFL hits and talk to them like, man, these guys suck, man. Like, they gave him a 5th down. That wasn't a roughing the passer. That was grounded. He can't do that. But behind closed doors, he's got to be talking to the head of officiating and like, hey, man, we got to clean this up. We got to be more concise. We got to be better at this. We got to be better at that to make sure that this narrative is ended. And one of those things that they can do, which they'll never do because the NFL, they're broke, as they claim, is make these officials full-time officials. When you're a full-time official, you can then hold them more accountable for their errors. As everybody knows, like, officials this is a part-time gig, great part-time gig, by the way. If you listen to the Sunday morning show with Keith and myself this past weekend, he kind of broke things down on how officiating guys get paid, and they work X amount of games and they're rated, and the best guys do the playoffs and the Super Bowl. Keep those crews together. Don't take the best one official or the one best line judge or the best back judge. Take that entire crew, because as a crew, you guys have a rapport with each other, just like you have a rapport with your team. You wouldn't take an all-star team to the Super Bowl from the NFC and an all-star team from the AFC and like, all right, you guys play for the Super Bowl. No, it's the best team that you've been with all season long. So take those best crews and put those guys in the playoffs. I think that's one way you can calm down on some of these bad calls. As far as rules are concerned, I don't know. I think it's convoluted about rules. And I think one of the reasons it's super convoluted from rules is because we have instant replay. We have so many people watching games on TV. I think they should kind of take it out of the officials' hands. I think they should have someone, a third party, a third ref up in the sky, looking at it, as opposed to the guys on the field. Because if you take those guys off of it, you don't have any of those preconceived notions like, hey, man, we're looking at it this way. And the biggest rule that I would change in the NFL is the catch. Like, we need a better definition of what is and what ain't a catch, because I can't understand for the life of me, if you catch the ball in the middle of the field, it can touch the ground, but if you can't do that in the end zone, that is the weirdest thing in the world to me. So those are the ways that I would try to fix it.
And keep in mind, my other thing, and yes, all those things can be done, at least to show fans and teams we are trying to fix this and we're trying to make it better, yada, yada. Okay, cool. But that's not going to change people's percent, whether it's an experienced crew or not. Pass interference in the fourth quarter of a tied ball game under 3 minutes, it's bad officiating, right? Like that's what I mean by, I think that like every controversial of badly officiated game, it's always in a close game. I've never heard of bad officiating in a 2-possession gap of a score. So I don't think an experienced crew versus an inexperienced crew is really going to matter a whole heck of a lot in regards to that. But again, that's always going to be a part of it. I also, as bad as officiating can be at times, I don't think it's as bad as people make it out to be, but I do think that the rules also make it just as difficult for teams and officials to get things right. That's for sure. But I got a good kick out of that. Earlier today, so again, right now with Radio Row, I've always been curious. I think Radio Row is just an ego booster for sports media guys. I don't know what fans really get out of it. I mean, I have a couple of friends that work in the industry, just talking with them about, how excited we get. Like Kevin and I were talking, man, I just wish the Super Bowl would come anywhere close around here for us to go do the show from the Super Bowl Radio Row. And I'm like, well, I don't know what our listeners, I mean, I guess the guests and stuff are pretty dang cool, but selfishly, that's just a perk of the job that, all these guys out there on set and everything do. I'm so jealous, by the way. I would love to do that, but we're lucky that we even have lights that work in this damn place. So I can't request too much to go do something, I'd rather have backup light bulbs than one day over at Radio Row. But
what about a working mouse?
A mouse, remain employed, all that fun stuff. But no. So what's happening right now is you're getting all these cool interviews. And when you get all of this, This is what Radio Row was built for, is because you have all of these guys. And by the way, we're joined now by Jamar Chase. But first, Jamar Chase, tell us about your partnership with pistachios. And then they go on to tell you 5 minutes about pistachios or some Starburst or just something wild, right? That's all you're going to hear on sports radio for the next couple of days or whatever. But it's pretty cool. But with that being said, there's so many personalities, so many guys doing interviews and hits that there's sound bites galore. Chris Sims isn't a major name that really turns the needle. I completely get that, but he did share an opinion earlier today that really kind of resonated with some people towards the criticism, if you will. I talked about LeBron a little bit ago, Kev. That guy is always penalized for his success.
Mm-hmm.
He can't be the greatest scorer of all time because look at all those assists he has. He's the leading scorer in the history of the game. What do you mean he can't be an elite scorer? That doesn't make any sense. Penalized for your success. People love to do that. You guys accuse me of that with Burrow. I think we naturally try to find ways to discredit our rivals or players on teams that we don't like or whatever. That's what we're getting a lot with Jalen Hurts right now. Jalen Hurts is, you could just drop any quarterback on that Eagles offense and off they roll. Here is Chris Sims sharing that same opinion. I'm not saying that's my opinion, sharing that same overused argument about Jalen Hurts earlier today.
I understand the pocket passing is there, right? But you have to worry about so many other things to play Philadelphia. And of course, Jalen Hurts is a big part of that, and he capitalizes on all that. And I certainly am not trying to take anything away from that. But how would I put this? Playing quarterback for the Eagles right now is set up to be one of the easier quarterback jobs in the sport.
One of the easier quarterback jobs in the sport. Now, I've said that about Joe Burrow before. It's easy to be Joe Burrow when you have Jamar Chase and T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd. It used to be easier to be Patrick Mahomes when you had, obviously, Travis Kelce and,
right.
and Tyreek Hill. His job is a little more difficult without Tyreek Hill. Patrick Mahomes has to work a little harder, but there's a lot of guys you could say are their job. It's easy to be a quarterback when you have a Stephon Diggs or a Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and Tyler Boyd. It's easy for these types of things, But the thing is, Jalen Hurts, you want to know the most fascinating thing about that offense, Kev? You know that every single one of those players on that offensive side of the ball, they were drafted except for A.J. Brown. Every single player on the offensive side of the ball. That is some good drafting right there. But hearing that comment, of course, from Sims, my only argument against that is that, yes, I do think that, that Jalen Hurts, that the success that he has had this season, the success of Jalen Hurts this season is almost being discredited because of all the talent around him. And I say this all the time. So what I have problems with is I'm a Browns fan. I watched the Browns put every weapon imaginable around Baker Mayfield, and he couldn't succeed. So this idea that you could just throw weapons around even bad quarterbacks and all of a sudden they just come out looking all, shiny, that's not true. Purdy, people still want to try to downplay the success of Purdy because, well, look at all the talent around him and Garoppolo had success and blah, blah, blah. Again, I watched the guy have every weapon around him not succeed. It is not true. If the quarterback is bad, they will not succeed. And Baker showed signs of being good, but also was so inconsistent. When you constantly hear this narrative about Jalen Hurts, what is your takeaway on this?
For Chris Sims only. So I did a little research on this. Once I saw that clip and sent it to you, immediately I was like, here we go again. Hating on my dude again. I like Jalen Hurts. People heard me say a million times on the show, I wanted the Steelers to draft Jalen Hurts. I think Jalen Hurts is a very good quarterback. He's in the Super Bowl. He has a chance to win it. So for Chris Sims only, I thought he was hating. But then I was like, well, let me see what he said about Brock Purdy. He said the same thing about Brock Purdy. And I was like, said the same thing about Jimmy G. So he's consistent. He's consistent with, hey, man, if your team has X, Y, and Z, and it's making it easier for quarterback, then this is how I feel. So him feeling the same way about Jalen Hurts as he did Jimmy G and Brock Purdy, for this, what he said, for him, I don't have a big problem with it because he's consistent. It isn't like he's like, all right, Jalen Hurts, I don't like him. I'm going to just say it about him specifically like other talking heads would say. So for that, I'll give him credit for that. He's consistent. He thinks that like, hey, man, when you're loaded and you have a great offensive play caller and dudes are running butt naked wide open, hey, man, it is what it is. But for me, I don't think it's simply that easy. I think with Brock Purdy, that offense for the 49ers was clicking at a different level. With Jalen Hurts, obviously that offense started clicking at a different level because we saw when Gardner Minshew went in there, they weren't clicking at all. They started to lose games. When Jalen Hurts was in there, they weren't losing games. And miraculously, when he got back in, they stopped losing games. So that's how I feel about Jalen Hurts. But for Chris Sims, he's pretty consistent saying, hey, man, if you have a Debo, if you have a McCaffrey, if you have a Aiku, if you have Kittle, you should be balling out of control. And he's saying the same thing about Jalen Hurts. So for him, I think he's consistent.
So the thing about Jalen Hurts, and there is a part of me that look, do I think that he's Patrick Mahomes or Joe Burrow or any of these guys? I do not. But the one thing that he has is he has that same impact on the team that Joe Burrow had on the Bengals, where guys just buy in. They believe. There's a lot of quarterbacks that they don't have that connection with their team, and it just kind of like everyone's trying to learn. From the time Jalen Hurts walked in, everyone kind of gravitated towards him because keep in mind, he didn't start initially right off the bat. But I think that you look at when you look at that 2020 draft class, you have Joe Burrow and hell, Jordan Love is in that draft class, obviously, Trevor Lawrence was the year after, Tua. I mean, you look at a lot of successful quarterbacks in that 2020 draft, and Jalen Hurts is one of those. Jalen Hurts, as good as Tua has been in Miami, as great as Joe Burrow has been in Cincinnati, Jordan Love this might be the season where we get to see if he's the real deal or not in Green Bay. Jalen Hurts is going to be the first from this Super Bowl class or from that draft class to win a Super Bowl, because I think Philly wins. I just think they're too deep on both sides of the ball. He's going to win this Super Bowl, and he's going to be either Russell Wilson, a guy that led a team to a Super Bowl on a loaded roster that, as you took pieces away, wasn't talented enough to bring guys that extra mile, or he's going to prove all these people wrong. But the thing is, there's nothing wrong with being Jalen Hurts. There's nothing wrong with being a quarterback surrounded by talent, because Patrick Mahomes, as great as he is, every year you're going to be losing pieces. Every year you're going to start losing. Tyreek Hill was just the start. It's going to be the trend moving forward. As long, if they're not drafting well and they're not getting, mid-tier free agents that come in and excel and all that stuff, the Chiefs are going to start to deteriorate. The Bengals will deteriorate here in the next 3 or 4 years once those contracts start kicking in. So my thing is take advantage where you can. And the bottom line is he has 2 more years with this type of money, with this type of talent around him. More power to him. I think Jalen Hurts comes out on top, and he's going to look more successful than Joe Burrow and all these other quarterbacks in that, because he's going to be holding up that Super Bowl trophy. But we talked about this yesterday. He throws for $140, a pick, and a touchdown, completes about 50%, 55% of his passes, and isn't great. Maybe he won't get that full credit for that Super Bowl, and I understand why. But the thing is, I haven't noticed him playing bad at all. He's done just enough. The running backs have made just enough plays. I mean, they have a great run team as well. I'm a big fan of Jalen Hurts, and we'll see what ends up happening. But I think, the kid's the real deal. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I like him too. But I mean, you talk about this all the time. Look at Tom Brady's last year with New England, and then he went to Tampa Bay, and he had Chris Godwin, he had Evans, he had Gronk. Wow, look at Tom Brady. Yeah, it's called talent around him.
Yep.
And nobody knocked Tom Brady for having talent around him. Now, granted, Tom Brady was already established as the greatest quarterback of all time. But yeah, when he didn't have talent around him, he wasn't Tom Brady. He threw an interception that got returned for a touchdown his last pass in New England. And then the next season went to Tampa Bay with a bunch of dogs and won themselves a Super Bowl. So talent isn't a bad thing. Having talent on your team isn't a bad thing. So I saw nobody negating what Tom Brady did. Be clear, Tom Brady did not have a good playoff run. He had a good Super Bowl, but the playoffs were shaky. I mean, they almost lost to the Washington football team and Heineke. You know what I'm saying? So it just kind of, for me, it's kind of like picking and choosing who we're going to point the finger at and say, oh, you got too much talent on your team. We're not going to give you any credit. Well, that talent, some of that talent that was on this team this year was on the team last year when they barely made the playoffs and they weren't looking so hot.
Yep, and there's certain a fan base that's not allowed to do any of the talking in this, and that's you, Bengals fans, because a good chunk of you are the ones that actually have the nerve to point at the Eagles and say, yeah, well, he's only successful because of the talent around him. And I know we've had this conversation throughout the week, but I think of all the fan bases that are not allowed to say that, it's the quarterback that has the most weapons around him. Kev, is there any quarterback that has more receiving weapons than Joe Burrow? And that's not a shot at Joe Burrow, but it's just the reality of it. But if you're going to discredit Jalen Hurts because he has weapons around him and then sit there and say, oh, poor Joe Burrow, I can't relate to that. I can't.
I would definitely put Philadelphia up there. I would definitely put Philadelphia up there with the weapons. I mean, they got 3 running backs. Like, they got 3 running backs. They got a good tight end, Gobbert. I think Jamar is better than A.J. Brown, but not by miles. But, I mean, they have A.J. Brown. They have Devontae Smith. They got 3 running backs. They got a good tight end. I would definitely put their receiving core up there with the Bengals as well. Like, definitely their top 5 for sure.
So we'll see what, and I get the offensive line, but hey, you went to a Super Bowl without an offensive line, and now you want that to be the excuse as to why you didn't get to the Super Bowl. Can't have it both ways. Eagles will be fine. I think they win the Super Bowl. 518-1410. We have a couple minutes, Kev. Who we got?
We got Reggie, line 1.
On what, line 1? What up, Reggie? How are you, sir? Welcome.
Hey, buddy. How you guys doing today?
Good.
Good. I actually got a chance to call in last week. I listen every chance I get, but I only had about 20 seconds because you guys were finishing up.
No, you're good. You're good. Well, I want to make sure you get your point in. You're good. Keep going.
You're good. I wanted to call in about the officiating that we were talking about. You guys were talking about a little bit ago.
Yep.
But I did have a take on the Jalen Hurts thing real quick. I'm personally a Bengals fan, but I played ball for 15 years. I never played in the league or anything like that. But I think it usually holds true. A team either wins in spite of their quarterback, they win with their quarterback, or they win because of their quarterback. I think Jalen usually falls in their category because the team doesn't need to win because of him a lot. They just win with him. I think that's sort of, people hold that against him a lot of times because the Eagles are so well-rounded. They're so good on both sides of the line of scrimmage that oftentimes they don't have to win because of him. So I think a lot of times he sort of gets put into that lower category. But anyways, with the officiating, I think there's two sides to that. And I associated a lot personally with like a good restaurant. People will go to a restaurant 100 times and they'll have the best meal of their life, but they'll rarely ever get on and leave a good review.
Right.
But the one time that something bad happens, people are vastly more likely to leave a bad review, and it's their only review that they'll ever leave, just because it was a negative effect. I think officiating is a lot like that. Most games, most crews around the league are actually solid crews, and they'll go week in and week out and make solid calls across the board. But it's the big calls and the big moments they miss that everybody holds them accountable to. But the flip side of that coin, in my opinion, is that those are the calls that you have to nail. You can't be the deciding factor in a game, whether it's a conference game, a regular playoff game, or a regular season 1 o'clock game. If you're making calls that are directly affecting the outcome of the game, then you're doing it wrong. So I think they played both sides of that coin, when in reality they could play it from a more positive perspective. Like, hey, we're nailing 99% of these games. It's just the one bad call that people are seeing that's overall dictating the whole narrative of officiating.
Hey, let me ask you, and again, this has nothing to do with my relationship with Bengals fans, but so like, what is your definition of a call that impacts a game? Because I know the call that Bengals fans are the most upset about in that Bengals Chiefs game was the extra down. But the Bengals were able to still kind of get out of that. Nothing happened because of that. It just looked bad. It was not a good look for the league. I completely get that. But like, what is there a call in that game that you believe impacted the outcome of that game? Because I know people keep pointing towards that Osai, pushing Mahomes out of bounds thing, but that to me was a good call. It was an unfortunate penalty is all. Do you disagree? And it's fine if you do. I'm just curious.
I'm a part of the anomaly. I actually agree with you. I just don't think the Bengals played very well. I think if they played their best game like they did against Buffalo the week before, I think they're actually probably a much better team than Kansas City. I think they're more physical. They tackle better. Their defense is more well-rounded, but they didn't play a good game. I think that if anytime the old adage is, if you think that it came to that one play, there was 5 plays in the first or second quarter that could have impacted the game just as much. It just wasn't in the big moment. So I'm actually a part of the minority of Bengals fans that feel like, do I think that the refs called their best game? No. Do I think that there were some missed penalties on both sides? Yes. But I think if you watch that game in its entirety, the Bengals offensive line, some of them being third stringers, essentially, they played phenomenal against Buffalo. The game plan was good, but it didn't quite equate in Arrowhead against Kansas City. And so it got kind of out of hand quickly. I think that game was probably, I don't want to say over in the third quarter because I think the Bengals are a strong second half team. But I think that at some point in that game, things aren't going their way. The calls aren't going your way. A lot of the momentum consistently isn't going your way. You're not playing that good of a game. Kansas City deserved to win the game. And it's a hard pill to swallow, but that's just the facts of football,
I'm just glad you didn't call it Burrowhead.
I personally think I throughout the entire week leading up to the game, I was as annoyed with a lot of the Bengals fans and the Cincinnati mayor. And I think there's actually a lot of fans out there that I network with that felt the same way. I think there was a vast majority of Bengals fans that kind of leading up to the game, like maybe the day or two before the AFC conference game, where kind of, I think a lot of more moderate Bengals fans were like, look, we need to slow our roll. We're still going into Arrowhead. This is still Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, even if he's on one leg. It's still a top 5 team in the NFL no matter what, whether it's 1 o'clock on a Sunday or the conference championship game.
Hey, man, I'm not sure how often you've called in, but appreciate your time. Good stuff. But I hope to hear from you more, man. Thank you for the call.
Thanks, yes, sir. Thank you, guys. Appreciate you.
So brings up a lot of good points too. I mean, obviously, you talk about the percent. I mean, to come up with a percentage of good calls, you have to. I mean, that's still very subjective. But I know what we want is something tangible to grade officials with, and I don't know how you do that because you could argue there's pass interference on every play, there's holding on every play. There's no way to put a tangible number on grading officials. And if the only way we say, hey, that was a very well officiated game because coaches don't want to kill you afterwards, I don't know. But we have time for a couple more, Kev. Who we got?
We got DoorDash Ray, line 2.
What up, DoorDash Ray? It's been a while.
It has been a while. Every time I get a hold of you guys, I start talking, something else happens, and I got to jump off quickly and stuff. But I just got something real quick I'm going to throw your way, then you guys can run with it if you wish.
Okay.
So I'm curious as the Hall of Fame, Football Hall of Fame, Baseball Hall of Fame, the players now. What are we going to do when we run out of players that are actually qualified to get into the Hall of Fame? I mean, now we got football where, players come and go 4 or 5 years and they're gone. Baseball, the same. I mean, when you think about it, are we going to reach back to get some old timers that should be in and finally put them in? Because I really don't feel like some of these new athletes deserve that. Some of them, are really, really good, but Hall of Fame material.
Do you have examples?
I mean, you can just say football, for example. Okay, so Devontae Adams. I mean, because I'm a Raider fan, so I'm just going to pick my Raiders. Devontae Adams, Josh Jacobs. These guys who are coming out there and they're balling it out for 2 or 3, maybe 4 years, and then you don't hear from them anymore. I don't know what's going to qualify a Hall of Fame player anymore. Obviously it won't be championships, but will it be their stats? Where are they going to go with this in the future? I'm just curious what you guys think about that. I'm going to jump off, and then I love you guys, man, and I honestly want to hear what your take is on it. See you next time. Thanks, guys.
Man, there was a Jason Fitz hang up right there. I don't. Baseball's the one that baseball's Hall of Fame is just pointless at this point. I'm not saying you're putting guys in that don't deserve to be in there, but you're really forcing guys in that probably should be waiting a little longer, but you're moving them up in line because I don't want Barry Bonds in. I don't want Roger Clemens in. I don't want Gary Sheffield. I don't want these guys in. That's my only complaint about baseball's football. I think is fine. I think that, every year we're watching Hall of Fame caliber players. Yeah. JJ Watt and Tom Brady. That's going to be, what was it, 5 years?
Yeah, 5 years.
So 5 years from now, that's one hell of a Hall of Fame class. So we got to the Peyton Manning. Yeah, Peyton Manning's in already. Yeah. My gosh, he's been out of the league for quite some time. I think football's fine. Basketball, it's not the most difficult to get in, but there's not guys in there that I'm like, oh, that guy was bad. Right. Basketball's a little easier to get in.
Yeah, because basketball is a basketball.
It's not NBA.
NBA. So they encompass everything like you do the FIBA basketball or high school. It's all encompassed. But I get what he's saying. Like Deion Sanders said something about this. Like it's the Hall of Fame, it's not the Hall of Good, Hall of Very Good. So I can understand, especially where a Hall of Famer is coming from. If he thinks like, well, he wasn't on my level. Like, are we about to have separate rooms in the Hall of Fame? That's something you don't want to do. You don't want to separate the Hall of Famers from the Hall of Famers. So yeah, I understand where he's coming from. But like, I think like a lot of the numbers game is going to get skewed because numbers are just so big now, not only in football and basketball. Like, you can't compare the numbers because the rates that guys are catching the ball. I said this before. I don't think there's going to be another Hall of Fame running back after Adrian Peterson. Like, I don't think there's anybody's going to be able to put up the
Derrick Henry.
Maybe, but if I think Derrick Henry, if I'm not mistaken, I can actually pull up the actual numbers. But like, obviously, he's done the 2,000-yard mark twice, but I don't like
Lamar.
You couldn't help it, but I don't think like there'll be a running back that's going to eclipse the numbers to make it to the Hall of Fame. So that's going to open it up for more quarterbacks, of course, and more wide receivers.
Yeah, the Adrian Peterson one too, and longevity helped him because there's multiple points where we thought, oh, he's done. And then he kept coming back for more 1,000-yard seasons and was just a dynamic player. That's for sure. We have Norm Grevey, former Flyer, coming up here in a few moments. Kev, let's do one more.
We got Brian, line 3.
What up, Brian? How are you? Welcome.
Hey, guys. You were talking about talent and credit and, taking away from quarterbacks. I don't know. Like, it's like the media wants it both ways. If you're going to crown Mahomes the best of this generation already, and he is off to the best start since Brady, well, inherently that means that the other quarterbacks in the league are going to need more talent around them to beat that guy, especially when we're all fans of AFC teams here. Yeah, I mean, you know that you're probably going to end up going against Mahomes. At some point, you're probably going to have to go through him. And if that takes more talent to beat him and get him to the ground, does that make less of the quarterback? Not really, because you've already rated my quarterback below him anyway. So I'm fine with that. I can accept that. I can accept that Pat Mahomes is the closest thing to Michael Jordan in an NFL quarterback. He's hard to beat. He's really hard to wrestle to the ground. But even Jordan was beat. You just need one heck of a good team around you. And so I think that's fine. And in terms of Jalen Hurts, I mean, he took the job from Wentz, and they never looked back. So I think there's something to be said about that. I mean, if he was borderline iffy, if he was a Brock Purdy type, there would be some discussion about whether he's coming back. There is no discussion now. He is their quarterback. So whether it's 140 passing and 80 rushing, he does enough every single week that the Eagles never have that question. They don't have anyone in the hopper. They're not going to draft another one. And they're picking 10th overall in this pick. They're not going to take a quarterback.
That's what's wild. And I don't know if you heard me a little bit ago about the Eagles, but I have it up right here. It's a little chart that says where each team got their starters. And I'm looking at it on the offensive side of the ball for the Eagles. The only player that's on the offensive side of the ball, Brian, is A.J. Brown. That they did not draft. That A.J. Brown is the only player that they did not draft on the offensive side of the ball. That is just, I mean, high efficient draft. I mean, yeah, I don't think it's fair to penalize players for having weapons around them. But unless there's proof of when they don't have weapons that they're not very good. But I don't think that's fair. Until we see that, we don't know with Jalen Hurts. That's for sure. So we'll see.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think the Eagles took advantage of that craziness last summer, man, when teams were giving away number one wide receivers. Sure, they had to trade a first-round pick for it. But, I mean, when that number of players, Devontae Adams, Hill, A.J. Brown, they were close to, prying Metcalf out of the Seahawks. Man,
that'd have been wild.
They were smart. They hopped on that, and you can't expect that that's going to happen anymore. Like, teams are just going to give away their number one wide receivers. That was maybe a once-in-a-lifetime bubble.
Well, they might because the asking price. There's teams that like the Eagles, they may not be able to afford their wide receivers and stuff because once you pay your quarterback. So it will be interesting how that, or the Bengals will be a team to follow to see how they're going to be that next team up that has to juggle paying their quarterback and elite level wide receivers. Hey, Brian, I appreciate your call. We have a guest coming up. Otherwise, I'd give you more time, my man, but thank you for the call.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks, guys.
Cool. Appreciate you.
Real
guys.
quick, Derrick Henry is 42nd in all-time rushing with 8,335 rushing yards.
And he's the king of running backs in our NFL, and he's 42nd. I mean, it's because it also comes down to longevity in running backs and the shelf life for running backs. It's not very good anymore.
Right. And I think 10,000 is like the cutoff mark where you're considered for the Hall of Fame.
All right. I just got a text from former Flyer Norm Grevey. He's in the parking lot. He's ready to come in. We're ready to talk little Dayton Flyers. Kev, last night, the Dayton Flyers, again, they're coming off of a couple tough losses. They're coming off of a very tough loss against St. Bonaventure. I mean, every time we think we have this Flyer team figured out, They end up stubbing their toe. They lost against George Washington and they lost against Rhode Island. And then they just absolutely pummel Richmond. They win in overtime against Loyola, and then they lose on the road against St. Bonaventure for the first time in a long time. And then when you think that the season, all right, I don't know anything about that. Then they go and they beat the first place VCU Rams on the road. So the Dayton Flyers, obviously fans feeling pretty good about that rebound win against VCU. They got St. Louis coming up around the corner. Then they're going to be on the road for a couple. The Flyers, hot, cold. Right now they're hot, and that's a good thing. And we'll talk about the Flyers with Norm Grevey. He joins us in studio next. We got to go get Milano's. Larry dropped off our Milano's, so I got to go to my office before other people start stealing their pizza and our wings.
Pizza.
All right, we'll be right back.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio.
DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of Super Bowl 57, is officially live in Ohio. Now you can legally bet on all your favorite sports anytime and anywhere right here in Ohio with DraftKings. For a limited time, new customers who sign up with code WING1410 and bet $5 or more will receive $200 in bonus bets instantly. The Super Bowl is coming up, and I got Philadelphia on the money line, plus their defense to score a touchdown. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. New customers can use code WING1410 to get $200 in bonus bets instantly when you place a $5 bet on anything. That's code WING1410. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 and up. Physically present in Ohio. Valid one offer per first-time depositor who have not already redeemed $200 in free bets via pre-launch offer. Minimum $5 deposit and wager. $200 issued as bonus bets. Eligibility restrictions apply. See dkng.co/OH for terms.
My dad has a cold, but also has high blood pressure. That's why I got him Vicks NyQuil High Blood Pressure for fast, powerful nighttime relief. Unlike some ordinary cold medicines, it's specially formulated for people like my dad. NyQuil High Blood Pressure is sugar-free, alcohol-free, and decongestant-free.
Vicks NyQuil High Blood Pressure. The nighttime sniffling, sneezing, coughing, aching, fever, sore throat, cold, and flu for people with high blood pressure.
Like my dad.
Medicine. Use as directed.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Do you have an oak tree in your yard? The Ohio Chapter International Society of Arboriculture is committed to advancing responsible tree care practices while preventing a fungal disease called oak wilt. They remind those who own and manage oak trees the best time to prune is November to early March. To find out more, there are over 1,000 qualified tree experts in Ohio. To find an ISA certified arborist in your area, visit treesforohio.org. That's trees4ohio.org.
Want to make tonight's dinner a perfect 10? Swing by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken and pick up a 10-piece strips meal for only $24.99. With 10 freshly marinated, honey-dipped premium tenderloins, 3 dipping sauces, 2 of our irresistible large sides, and 5 fluffy biscuits, it's family time made from scratch. Take home a top-notch dinner the whole family will love from Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken with our 10-piece strips meal for only $24.99. Only at Lee's. Famous for chicken.
By now, you should know Audio Etc. has all the same sales and deals on TVs and projectors as everyone else. But did you know we also have some of the world's best hi-fi? Hi, this is Kirby from Audio Etc. And we do have some of the best home theater, high-fidelity gear on the planet. Not only do we have your favorite brands like Klipsch speakers and SVS subwoofers, but audiophile greats from Bowers & Wilkins, Kef, NAD, Marantz, Cambridge, Mark Levinson, and plenty of vinyl and tube gear. Plus exotics you only see in the the magazines. Stop by today and visit Audio Etc's crazy cool showroom and see and audition the best audio and video has to offer. While you're in, check out our huge selection of pre-owned vintage gear. A great way to afford great gear otherwise out of reach, or revisit old classics. Audio Etc. Sound advice you can trust. Audio Etc. 551 Congress Park Drive at the corner of Paragon in Centerville, or call 434-9770.
Audio Etc's crazy cool showroom.
Urology Specialists of Ohio are here for you. Men, your good health is important to them. Their knowledge of specific male anatomy, prostate issues, and how to help in your healing is their main focus. Urology Specialists of Ohio are now accepting new patients at all locations: Beaver Creek, Springfield, Urbana, Xenia, and London. They have been in practice for over 20 years with over 80 years of experience between 5 physicians. Call today. They can schedule your appointment in a timely manner with little wait time. Online at urologyspecialistofohio.com.
I'm Terry Krupp of Laird's Tax and Accounting, serving this area's tax and accounting needs for over 80 years. One of the most rewarding aspects of our jobs as tax preparers is that we have families that have used our services for generations. Laird's Tax and Accounting is a pioneer in our industry, being the first to offer new services. We stand behind your return if the IRS has questions. We know the tax code and can make the difficult task of making your tax filing easier. Relax. Contact us at 937-325-6571. Information at lairdstax.com.
Hi, Greg McAfee here with McAfee Heating and Air. Dayton was founded on blue-collar work. Many Daytonians worked at companies like NCR, McCall's Publishing, Delco, and the Huffy Corporation. Blue-collar work set Dayton apart in innovation and forward thinking. And today, we have a company like McAfee Heating and Air. Our apprenticeship program is a perfect opportunity to get paid while you learn. Go to mcair.com and apply today.
Staples stores are a new world of possible with innovative tools for small business and remote workers and learners. Explore more at your local Staples store or staplesconnect.com.
Hey, it's Justin Kinner from my friends at Black Rock Bar and Grill. If you are a bourbon aficionado, you are going to want to listen up. Black Rock has a very special event coming up this Wednesday, February 8th from 5 to 9 p.m. It's the Black Rock Bourbon Tasting Event featuring Buffalo Trace, Weller Reserve, and the exclusive Black Rock Eagle Rare. This is an open invitation to come experience these fine bourbons at bottom-of-the-barrel pricing, no pun intended, of course. You'll have a chance to taste 1-ounce samples for just $5 each, plus there'll be 3 amazing specialty cocktails for you to experience, like a smoked old-fashioned and the Gold Rush, plus a special flight for that evening only consisting of Buffalo Trace, Weller Reserve, and Black Rock Eagle Rare. Why not make it an evening with some great appetizers as well? This special bourbon tasting event is one night only, this Wednesday, February 8th from 5 to 9 p.m. Make plans now to be at Black Rock Bar and Grill at Fairfield Commons in Beaver Creek and tell your friends. And as always, please drink responsibly.
Hey, I'm Andy. If you don't know me, it's probably because I'm not famous. But I did start a men's grooming company called Harry's. The idea for Harry's came out of a frustrating experience I had buying razor blades. Most brands were overpriced, overdesigned, and out of touch. At Harry's, our approach is simple. Here's our secret. We make sharp, durable blades and sell them at honest prices for as low as $2 each. We care about quality so much that we do some crazy things, like buy a world-class German blade factory. Obsessing over every detail means we're confident in offering a 100% quality guarantee. Millions of guys have already made the switch to Harry's, so thank you if you're one of them. And if you're not, we hope you give us a try with this special offer. Get a Harry starter set with a 5-blade razor, weighted handle, shave gel, and a travel cover, all for just $3 plus free shipping. Just go to harrys.com and enter code JOY at checkout. That's harrys.com, code JOY. Enjoy!
Hour number 3. The Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash right here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. If you are watching on our ESPN Dayton YouTube channel, you could, of course, see that that's not Kev Nash sitting there. That's former Dayton Flyer Norm Grevey. Norm, that means it's Wednesday. How are you, my friend?
Good to see you, Justin. Thank you to have me on. It's always fun.
Yep, every week we do this, of course, throughout the Dayton Flyers college basketball season, of course. And I'm not going to lie, heading into that VCU game last night. I'm like, oh man, Norm's not going to be too happy for some of these because it just feels like, I mean, every time this team makes you think that the season's about to kind of get away from them, they pull you back in. And it's not just a win's one thing, but to win on the road at VCU against a team that, you know, had that very shocking win at UD Arena about a month ago when everything just fell apart for the Flyers, for them to put that behind them and be without Malachi Smith and be without some of their key guys, and then to get a win on the road. And you talked last week about how tough it is to win on the road. Doesn't make any damn sense, but here the Flyers are with the big road win. They desperately needed that, yes, for the standings, but confidence-wise, they desperately needed that.
You just
needed it. You needed it more than anybody.
Yeah, I needed it. We all needed it. Coach Anthony needed it. The players needed it. And you said the word confidence. At St. Bonaventure, the Flyers did not play with any confidence. They, like Coach Grant said in the postgame, they just are playing. We need to play to win. And I mentioned a few weeks ago about Dayton having that somewhat of a mental edge on VCU, even though they lost the game, and coming into their court and winning was just a tremendous effort. You know, a turning around type point win of a season. Obviously, St. Bonnie was a setback. It is what it is. You have to go forward. You can't, you can't live in the past. And that's the great thing about college basketball or sports is you got to look to the next game, but try to learn from what happened in the St. Bonnie game. And you got to credit Tamani Kamara stepping up, having one of his career games. 26 and 15 or 27 and 15, shooting 53% from the field this year as a college basketball player. Credit to him. Can defend any spot on the floor. And right now, I'm telling you, he's emerged as that leader that we need down the stretch in this brutal, balanced A-10 season.
So what's wild is let me ask you this, because that loss against St. Bonaventure over the weekend felt like a very, very bad loss. But you look at the standings right now, and St. Bonaventure, they're one game out of first place, just like Dayton is right now. Obviously, they hold a slight tiebreak over Dayton with that win. But, I mean, I know we're talking a lot about the VCUs and the St. Louis's of the world and Dayton right there in the mix of things too. But the loss that felt like a bad loss that a lot of Flyer fans on social media felt like, oh, my gosh, the sky is falling. That's a weird program too. They brought in all new players. Like they shouldn't be.
99% of their offense did not return from last year.
So, but here they are 7-4 in the conference. Norm, they're 13-11 overall. They're playing their best basketball. They've won 3 straight. St. Bonaventure, I don't think is as bad a loss as what some people think it is.
Correct.
I mean, losses are bad. Don't get me wrong, but it's tough to win on the road. Lost a close one on the road against a team that's right there at the top. It's a game out of first, just like Dayton. I don't think that loss is as bad as people are making it out to be. Am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong. It was a bad loss because I felt like, Dayton again was up 20-13, had that game in hand, kind of had taken the momentum out of the game away from St. Bonnie, and Kamara picked up his second foul. And when he picked up his second foul in the first half, he had to go to the bench. We struggled after that. And I think one problem that this team has had, and what I saw last night was unbelievable to see the Flyers come back down 17-6 last night, down 11. This team has always been giving up big leads. Every game, it seems like they get a 10, 12-point lead, even 20. Somehow or another, they lose the game. And again, against St. Bonnie, up 20-13, Kamara gets 2 fouls. We were really never the same after that. Last night, down 17-6, brings in Kobe Barrera and Zimmy. Barrera hits 2 threes, and Zimmy gets a putback. It's now 17-14. The game has changed, and that's for the first time I've seen this year. Dayton come in with subs. We're down 11, and we win the game. So, it's witch's brew. You got to just keep stirring the pot every week, figuring out this team. And that's just the way it is sometimes in college basketball. You have teams that throughout the year, they haven't really been able to play their best consistently. They did for an 8-1 stretch. We thought with the health, 80 and 85 points, back-to-back games, Justin. And then they go and have a poor offensive out, 59 points against St. Bonnie. That's what I came on the show. Hey, we've turned it around offensively. And They get 59
I'm gonna start
points.
calling you Yo-Yo.
Yeah,
because
so-
you're up and you're down. You're all over.
It's
but
the
you go as
highs
they
and the
go.
lows,
Yes.
and that's what this team is. And you just have to hope. Okay, we just have to hope that this team can grow from this win. Have a tremendous game Friday if they can pull that out. Now they get a week off to prepare for Loyola on the road. And that's like having a bye week. You get those days to rest. You get those days to fix what's going wrong.
Get healthy, which this team's
and
not
get
been.
healthy. So a lot of positives, amazingly, in 48 to 72 hours.
Absolutely. And being positive is key to getting through a season like this with all the ups and downs. But not being negative, but there might be a realistic point to talk about here, and I'm curious your thoughts. You being a former player, I'm just a talking boob on the radio that I repeat a lot of talking narratives that other radio hosts use, right? So when you hear the phrase, and me and Sully touched last night about this game, playing down to your competition, that's a real thing. It's a mindset, I'm assuming, and I think obviously we talked about the loss against St. Bonaventure maybe not being as bad a loss as what we had thought when you look at the standings. But then you see some of the losses like the George Washington loss and the Rhode Island and some of these. And the VCU is not a bad loss, but the way it happened. So they're not a good example in this. But do you see a team in this Flyer team that does play down to their competition, but they also rise to the occasion too? They have no problem rising up to play the St. Louis's and the VCUs of the world and the Davidsons. But all of a sudden you get to a Rhode Island, you get to some of these teams and they play down and they become vulnerable. Is that a problem with this team that should be a concern for the rest of the season when they need to pick up these key wins?
That's a great question. Throughout my career, I would always get excited to play Xavier, but then, we have to go play at Detroit. That's not a real fun basketball game. I remember back when Butler was not very good, we'd always dread a 2-hour bus ride to Butler and play.
Hinkle wasn't good enough for you.
In Hinkle Fieldhouse, I love going to Hinkle. I was in Indiana. I used to think about it all the time, the history of Indiana, and had no really, but you get excited for Notre Dame, that's for sure. So that's just human nature within college basketball. And you look at Kentucky, Arkansas, Kentucky last night didn't care about Arkansas, and they lost. But they beat Tennessee, who's one of the best teams in college basketball at Tennessee. So, of course, it's a concern. I think injuries this year. Last year, they were 14-4 in league play. This year, they are playing down to certain opponents. But some of these opponents are having their best games against us, too, as well.
So, because Loyola's one, for instance, I mean, that's the worst team in the league record-wise. You needed
George
overtime to beat them.
Washington's greatest win this year was on that Saturday afternoon. Same with St. I don't know, maybe St. Bonnie had a big win against VCU. So, yeah, I mean, it's a concern you got to have. I don't think it's something they're dwelling on in the locker room. I can honestly tell you, I don't think that's something they think about until after the games when they reassess. But I think having 7 guys, you're going to be a little more locked in the games like they were when they won 8 of 9 games during that mid-January, December stretch. So sometimes when they get the full roster, guys' roles diminish. People start getting a little frustrated about playing time. The chemistry can change. They're right back to being 7-man warriors, and everybody knows we're going to get playing time. When Malachi plays, I think one of the big things I was going to talk about today was, man, we need to get Kobe Barea playing 25 minutes every game. Forget about defense. Forget about this. Let's forget about that. That guy can shoot it at a high level. When he can get streaky like that, he's the best shooter in the A10, and he's a career 40% shooter, which is incredible. He brought his game, okay? But against St. Bonnie in the first half, he hardly even stepped on the floor, and maybe had a weak box out and wasn't really had his step. There you could say about talking up or down, or was it, just a mental thing in his game where he wasn't getting his playing. I think with 7 guys now, everybody's got to know that we're stepping on the court. I'm getting my minutes. I'm responsible. I got to do this. Usually teams don't have, when you get 8-10 roster, Justin, that's what we want. they've only played a full roster a couple of games all year, if that.
So talk about, and with that being said, because what's interesting, when their backs have been against the wall, that's when they've, and this is typical Dayton.
Exactly.
But they've played their best basketball when their backs, Flyer fans got mad at me for this last week. I'm definitely not saying Malachi Smith's a bad basketball player, but it's not, I don't think it's a hot take that I've pointed out that they've played their best basketball when he's not on the floor. I'm not saying there's a correlation there, but there's enough sample size. They went on that 7-game win streak without Malachi Smith, came back, and the offense was in the upper 70s. Now they're scoring in the low 60s when he comes back. He leaves. They get the big road on the win. They get the big win on the road at VCU. I think sometimes it's just one of them weird, I don't know. I don't believe in coincidences, but what do you say to that? Because it is kind of strange when their backs are against the wall. All of a sudden, they're playing their best basketball. They got a win on the road at VCU last night without Malachi Smith. They've played better basketball when he's not on the floor, and it's just a wild thing to me to try to understand.
Well, Malachi, I'll defend him in one sense that he's definitely not been 100% all year. Now, I was on air a couple of weeks ago talking about how that Loyola game at UD Arena was Malachi's kind of a great game. He had a stretch with 23 assists and 1 turnover. But, from an eye test, you have your own point of view. I wouldn't disagree, but I'm kind of mixed on that.
No, that's why I said I'm not. It's weird. Yeah. It's like a weird thing. It's but it's typical.
It's hard for me to pinpoint.
We have to play walk-ons.
Yeah,
you go deep tournament runs. It just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. I think Dayton's biggest problem has been the point guard play, which we didn't expect that this year with Mike and Malachi on roster. We thought we had our point guard, and you had Kobe as an emergency, Kobe Elvis, that is, as an emergency third point guard. No one ever thought Kobe Barea would have to be our point guard for 28 of the 40 minutes last night.
And shoot the damn ball. That's all your job is supposed to be.
And then, late game, they put Elvis back at point, and, he kind of got a little careless. But, yeah, it's hard to say. But, Mike's been forced in hand, and I'm expecting him to really break out a little bit.
Yeah.
He's been playing a little tense. Obviously, foul trouble last night. But you
said it. He's not last week. You said it. He's not a freshman anymore at this point of the season.
Right.
You've got enough games under your belt and more minutes than you probably anticipated coming in with the injuries. You kind of got to start seeing him take those steps forward.
Magnify those 18 minutes instead of playing 30 and kind of just at your pace. We got to play at our team's pace. We got to push that ball up more. Still, I think our pace to play has to improve. And we have to continue, even though our defense stepped up last night and really was probably the best defensive game of the year. Dayton's a top 50 defensive team in the country when you come down to their rebound margins and their stats and opponents' field goal percentage. Dayton won the field goal percentage battle, and that's huge. And obviously the defense stepped up. But to me, being an offensive guy, we have to continue to turn the witch's brew and find the best offense for us. Make sure Kobe Barea is getting open threes. Continue to ISO Kamara. Allow teams to double team. Let Tamani continue to be free on that offense, and he's made masterful improvements. And Duran is Duran, and I think teams are muscling him. He might be getting a little fatigued. He's being bodied hard, and he's doing a decent job, a great job of looking for the open man. And Kamara's hurting him right now. And Kobe, both Kobe's, I think, need to continue their improvements during the season, because I think they can be, if Kobe Elvis can get healthier each week, he's showing improvement and driving to the basketball. He's the one guy that can get to the paint for us on the roster, and he's doing a heck of a job with his, brace. I don't know if he's 100%, but each week he's getting better, and we really need him to start turning it on offensively as well. But he's doing the best he can, and that's, to me, offensively, we have to continue to get better, because you can't have 59-point games at St. Bonaventure on the road. You're going to lose any game, no matter what kind of defense you play.
Yeah, and Dayton, of course, coming off of a 62-58 4-point win on the road at VCU last night. Former Flyer Norm Grevey live with us here in the WING studios, of course. The Flyers coming up next. They'll be back at UD Arena, ESPN2 coming up later on in the week. They got St. Louis coming in. We're going to talk about that. We'll take a look at the upcoming schedule for the Flyers. And St. Louis is an important game for a lot of reasons, but because that one main reason is, well, it's a team that's ahead of them in the standings. But on top of that, they have quite a few road games coming up around the corner as well, and they desperately need to take this win on the road to carry on that momentum. A lot of Big A-10 games going on tonight and heading into the weekend. We'll highlight some of those, and then, of course, we'll continue to dive into some of the takeaways from last night's win against VCU. Justin Kinner, former Flyer Norm Grevey, will be right back.
My ride smells just right, just right, just right, just right. Y'all gotta try that Febreze car. Just right, just right, just right. Yeah. La 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 la. With up to 40 days of consistency, on low Febreze car clips right on your vent. You know my car's my happy place. Keep that smile on my face when it smells just right, just right, just right. Yeah, breathe happy Febreze. La 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 la.
It's not easy being the one everyone counts on to keep your operation running, no matter the weather or supply chain hiccup. But we get you, Raymond in Buffalo, Maria in Miami, and Jules in Troy, taking control of everything that's under your control. At Grainger, we're here for you with high-quality supplies for every industry, plus real-time product availability and access to experts ready to help. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Staples stores are a new world of possible with innovative tools for small business and remote workers and learners. Explore more at your local Staples store or staplesconnect.com.
ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
The forecast is calling for rain and 45 tonight. We have a high wind watch in effect for Thursday. Showers windy and 62. And then mostly cloudy. Slight chance of showers and 46 for Friday. I'm Rick Schremp for 1410 ESPN Radio.
I had a nighttime routine for my frequent heartburn. I would drink milk, I would sleep upright with more pillows, but that painful burning stayed. So I made Prilosec OTC part of my morning routine. With just one pill each morning, Prilosec OTC prevents excess acid production, blocking heartburn day and night. Now I have a new nighttime routine. I call it sleeping.
One pill a day, 24 hours, zero heartburn. With Prilosec OTC. It's possible while taking Prilosec OTC. Use as directed for 14 days to treat frequent heartburn, not for immediate relief.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Guys, fellas, men, are you Roman ready for Valentine's Day? Right now, generic Viagra, aka Sildenafil, is just $4 per dose at Roman. Just complete a free online visit with a U.S. licensed healthcare professional. If medication is appropriate, Roman sends everything right to your door with free shipping and in discreet packaging. Go to ro.co/Viagra to get generic Viagra for just $4 per dose. Do it by February 8th for 20% off and guaranteed shipping by Valentine's Day. That's ro.co/Viagra.
Is your tub worn out, but you're not sure who to trust to replace it? With over 2 million successful bath remodels, people trust Bathfitter because we know how to do it right. We've been custom designing and manufacturing baths for over 35 years. Our unique tub-over-tub installation takes as little as a day with no demo to fit your busy schedule. And we offer a lifetime warranty on every tub. That's how confident we are in our quality and durability. Bathfitter, it just fits. Visit bathfitter.com to book your free consultation.
This is Education Matters with Ohio Education Association President Scott Damaro.
Black history is American history. In this Black History Month, we are celebrating the many Black Americans who have made our country so great. But more than that, we must come together to reflect on the Black experience in our country, the good and the bad, because our students deserve an honest education that allows them to reckon with the past to make the future better for all of us.
Education Matters, brought to you by the Ohio Education Association.
If you need new roofing, siding, or gutters, skylights, or patio enclosures, if you're a homeowner or business and need someone you can trust, don't take a chance. Enhance with Lance. Lance Roofing and Siding in Fairborn has been satisfying customers since 1993 and hold an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. Lance Roofing and Siding, 8460 Dayton Springfield Road in Fairborn. Call for a free estimate at 864-2722. That's 864-2722 or online at lanceroofing.com.
The Flowerman here with our annual Valentine's Day tradition. A dozen roses for $12.99. That's incredible. A dozen roses, only $12.99. So beautiful. I'm starting to tear up. A dozen roses for Valentine's, only $12.99. Go to flowermanflowers.com. That's flowermanflowers.com.
At Staples, you can count on every project being print perfect, guaranteed.
I need presentations and brochures printed, and they have to be perfect.
Your bounded presentations, brochures with the finest folds, and more will be done right every time. That's our Print Big promise. Now at Staples, get $10 off your document printing and marketing materials order of $50 or more, plus 20% back via store bonus. Try Staples and see the difference. Ends 2/25. Rewards members only. Bonus must be redeemed in store. See staples.com/stores/printbig for details.
Want to know how you can satisfy every comfort food craving? Stop by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken and try a home-style bowl for only $4.59. You'll get a bowl of our mashed potatoes with breast strip bites, corn, and gravy, all topped off with shredded cheddar cheese to create a truly unbeatable bowl. Get your every wish in one hearty, craveable dish when you try a home-style bowl from Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken for only $4.59. Only at Lee's. Famous for chicken.
Winter is here, and Rob's Beer Barn is stocked with the newest seasonal beers and refreshments. That means Rob's Beer Barn has you covered for all your needs, including for the big game on Sunday, February 12th. At Rob's, you can find all the ice-cold refreshments you'll need. Craft, imported, local, and seasonal beers, fine wine, snacks, and ice. Plus, Rob's Beer Barn has apparel and gift cards. You can call, walk in, or drive through. Rob's Beer Barn on Indian Ripple Road at Darst, just a mile east of the Green. Rob's Beer Barn, just look for the Beaver.
You've got advanced prostate cancer, but you're not waiting around. You want straight talk, the facts about Orgovix.
Orgovix Relagolix 120 milligram prescription tablets is a treatment for adults with advanced prostate cancer. Fact: Orgovix is a different kind of androgen deprivation therapy treatment, a pill, not an injection. Orgovix may cause serious side effects, including a heart condition called QT prolongation. Tell your doctor right away if you feel dizzy, faint, have a racing or pounding heart, or chest pain. Orgovix can cause harm to an unborn baby or miscarriage. Use birth control during treatment and for 2 weeks after Orgovix treatment. The most common side effects include hot flushes, increased blood sugar and blood fat levels, muscle and joint pain, decreased blood hemoglobin levels, increased liver enzymes, tiredness, constipation, and diarrhea. Other side effects include weight gain, decreased sex drive, and erectile function problems. Orgovix may cause infertility. Talk to your doctor if infertility is a concern for you.
Go with Orgovix. Ask your doctor. For more facts, visit gowiththefacts.com.
The free AutoZone Fix Finder service can help troubleshoot the likely cause of your pesky check engine light for free and get you back on the road. Restrictions apply. Get in the zone. AutoZone.
And we are back. Justin Kinner, former Flyer, Norm Grevey, live here in the WING studios, talking all things Flyer hoops. Dayton 62-58. Winners over VCU on the road. The A10 standings as we currently sit here right now, Norm. Again, VCU at the top still at 9-3, 18-7 overall, but sorry. I was eating my Milano's cheeseburger a little too fast. Shout out to Larry from Milano's, by the way, feeding Norm and I during the 5 o'clock hour here on a Wednesday. He jumped on that right away.
Yes.
Big fan of yours, big fan of Flyer basketball, of course. I love Larry over at Milano's on Brown Street. Does a great job. So VCU at the top, 9-3, St. Louis 8-3. Now, that's what makes this matchup. And they came off a win last night against Rhode Island. But St. Louis, Dayton coming up later on this weekend. Big matchup because, again, Dayton just got a big win on the road at VCU to cut to within a game of first place. But, man, you get a win at home against St. Louis, and now Dayton's back to cooking again at the top. So this is a big one coming up, and I'm not saying, look, they desperately needed that win at VCU. They desperately needed that. And now they take that momentum into St. Louis. No better time to get that win over VCU and take that momentum into this weekend's matchup with St. Louis.
Going to be a great matchup. You know, Yuri Collins is the all-time leading assist guard in the A10 history. So that's going to be an interesting matchup. He gets 11 points and 10 assists a game and about 4 rebounds. Not a great shooter, but has been a great leader for them. You know, this is a team that does score at 75 points a game. You think St. Louis is a Dayton-type clone team, but with Yuri Collins, they get on the break. They'll force some turnovers. They're not a great defensive team stat-wise. You know, I would call this a you know, kind of a toss-up, you know, but I do think with St. Louis coming to the arena in that environment, I think if the Flyers can stay out of foul trouble, which will be tough to do, they should be able to beat St. Louis, have a week off, and then have a nice test at Loyola and Chicago a week off. So this is a big game for the momentum to have that bye week, kind of get fresh again. But it'll be a great matchup with Yuri Collins and who we have playing Mike and Kobe Elvis and Kobe Barea. We may have to use a 3-point guard tandem. Hopefully RJ might be able to go to give us a little depth. You know, Mustafa, I think, is a guy that needs to have a big game coming off a somewhat of a subpar shooting night. He was like 2 for 8 from 3, even though his baskets that he made were so huge. So it's going to be a great matchup. Jemerson for St. Louis, a great shooter. Coach Ford, a Rick Pitino clone. And Anthony have always had a lot of spice on those games, a lot of tension. So it's very physical teams going at it. So I think rebounding is going to be the key in that game for the Flyers. And if they can get the ball out on transition and make teams pay, hit some threes, I think that could be a big game. But I think rebounding is going to be really the key. Who wins that rebounding war is going to win the game.
Keep in mind the A10 tournament tips off on what we're talking March 7th. I mean, you got to have a 4. You got to be a 1 through 4 seed to make sure that you have to get the bye week. That way, it's only a 3-game win streak to get that A10 championship. Yep, the A10 champion will be crowned on March 12th. So keep that in mind. And again, the A10 tournament tips off on March 7th. The first round does, second round March 8th. But yeah, 7th, 8th, 9th, and then of course the little day off, and then 11th, 12th semifinals, finals. So.
Scary thing about the A10 right now, Justin, as you were going through the teams, there's almost 9 teams that have 5 losses or less. Dayton has 4 losses. So, you know, repeat, there's 9 teams in the league that have 5 losses. So we're only a game away from being above a lot of these George Masons and George Washington's kind of come back to the pack. You got St. Bonnie. You know, it's Rhode Island is kind of playing a little better as a basketball team. You know, they're going to be back as a program. We talked A10 bids, you know, last time.
Yep.
And 16 straight years, the A10 has had multiple bids, 2, 3, and 4. So this is the first year that you could say, quote, possibly a 1-bid league for the first time in 16 years. So to me, that's pretty impressive. I didn't realize that. So who knows? You know, I think there's 3 teams that are capable of beating any NCAA team out there. Let's be clear that the difference between Dayton on a good night, St. Louis on a good night, and VCU on a good night, the difference between them and Ohio State, who's 34 KenPom with a losing record. There I go about the Big Ten.
You couldn't help yourself, could
Okay,
you?
I had to bring that up. There can't be much difference, and our highest Ken Palm team is, let's say, 70. We got 3 teams under 100, and we don't have one of those teams inside 70. Okay, but yet you got Ohio State, who really is not a very good basketball team. Okay, they have 0 big guys that could you imagine those big guys at Ohio State versus Kamara and Deron Holmes? And could you imagine those 2 guys on Ohio State? Wow, I don't know.
You mentioned,
I think they would still dominate the Big Ten like they dominate the A-10.
Adam Jardy, he works for the Columbus Dispatch. He tweeted out a little bit ago that, Ohio State, they're just such a confusing team, or they're not really that confusing. Like you said, they're just not a very good basketball team right now, but they keep confusing the computers. They keep baffling the computers because the Buckeyes are number 34 in the Ken Palm rankings, and they're 11-12. The next highest team with a losing record is Washington State at number 62. They're 10-15, but Ohio State at 34 in the Ken Palm. And again, I know you could talk about all the different palms and all the different rankings you want, but it is interesting seeing how how these calculations, throw out what's a good team, what's a bad team. But that's the beauty part about March Madness. We're talking about this Dayton team is just how down of a season it is. They're not, able to get healthy. They're not able to get on a run. But this is the year where weird things happen, probably. This is the year where they end the drought of not winning the A-10 tournament. This is the year where all of a sudden you look up and we're doing a deep tournament run into the NCAA tournament because everything's so wide up in the air. This is a weird year for college basketball. If there was ever a year for a team like Dayton to make a run, it is this year.
Oh, yeah.
Even with all the ups and downs.
Yeah, because there's not a great team in college basketball. You just saw Purdue lose to Indiana.
I was in Indiana over the weekend.
I saw Indiana lose a 25, 30-point lead to Iowa. And they're ranked 8th. And just a month ago, Indiana really had a chance they were out of the ends. They weren't a very good basketball team either.
It's wild.
Now they're 8th AP. You look at Purdue, got smoked in Bloomington. Okay. Didn't even nudge about, like I said, you got 2 great freshman point guards, but you put those guys against some athleticism. And really, you get Edey. He hasn't gotten in foul trouble yet this year, but if he ever does, I think Purdue will be in, big trouble. But if he doesn't get in foul trouble and those point guards hit some jumpers and you got Lawyer and Braden Smith, I think I love watching those guys. And I think the coach, I just went blank. He an incredible coach. The way he ISOs Zach Edey to get easy baskets on the block. And the one thing Edey does, being 7'4", he gets it down deep, Justin. And I think that's the one thing that I'd like to see Deron Holmes. You're starting to see Dayton do more high lows. And that's giving Deron, they're reading the defense a lot better. He's not catching it so far away from the block. That was one big adjustment I saw from Saturday to Tuesday. Dayton entered the ball better, the perimeter, and we were getting the ball in the middle of the floor and able to dump down high lows to Kamara or Deron. And I thought that was a masterful job, and used Deron as a decoy, catching at the high post because he is a good passer. And he was able to get Tamani as the team. They put Tapani deep on the block for high lows, pin action.
I mean, that's when they started playing talk about that 7-game win streak. That it started with those 2. Just playing off of one another. It was just bully ball. It was just, we're going to take our 2 bigs and just dominate you down low. It wasn't the most aesthetically pleasing, but you're just feeding your strength. And last night you talked about Deron Holmes, 5-9 from the floor, 11 points, 13 rebounds. And then you look at Kamara, another huge night from him, as you mentioned, 26 points and 15 rebounds, which, by the way, there's something about those matchups against VCU because Tumani Kamara, his 2 biggest games of the season, both coming against VCU. The first one at home at UD Arena about a month ago, and then, of course, what we saw last night.
Absolutely, 29 and then 27. And I think he's taken his game to a whole different level. I really do. I think if you look NBA potential, if you just looked at NBA potential and you happen to show up at a Dayton Flyer basketball game, you would say that Tumani Kamara probably, from a physicality standpoint, has an easier chance to play in the NBA than Deron. Now, obviously, Deron has so much upside with his length and his ability, his athleticism, and his height. and his IQ is improving, dramatically from last year. They're getting 17, and he's averaging 17 and 10 a game. That's pretty good. Tamani's getting 13 in the last few weeks of the season. He's averaging almost 20 a night, maybe even higher. So I think they got to go through Tamani, got to have Kobe Barea out there because I think he is one of the better shooters in the A10. Just live and die with that right-hand stroke, really. Live and die with the jumper of his. It's 41%. We shoot as a team 32%. We almost are barely at the point where it's worth shooting threes as a group because Kobe Barea is really the only guy on the team that's shooting 40%. Duran's second on the team. Duran Holmes at 38%. If this team wants to make the NCAA tournament, they're going to have to shoot the basketball better as a group. They're in, and they can play all the defense they want. And unless they start scoring the basketball a lot easier, it's not going to be an NCAA team. I think it comes all down to the offensive end because anybody as an athlete or a basketball player can play defense, but only a select few with great skill can go out there and take over a basketball game. That's not something anybody can do, but anybody can defend and guard and take a charge. But to be a great offensive player, that separates the pack. And you got Billikens coming in, averaging 75 a game. They're shooting 35% from three. Contrast to that, we score 69 points a game, 68 points a game, and shoot 32 to 33% from three. So our defense is going to have to show up Friday. The UD Arena crowd's going to have to show up, okay? Going to have to show up, get to Tim's, get to Milano's early.
Somewhere on Brown Street.
Get that voice box ready.
And off you roll.
And off you go because they got to have a loud arena to get this team to play at Dayton's pace, get it to be a physical game, get it inside, bury these guys inside. Make Yuri Collins shoot the three, pressure him in the half court inside that arc. He wants to drive and draw and dish. Make Yuri Collins get 30. That's what I'd love to see. They got a 30-second shot clock. He has to get a shot. I'd make him shoot 20 times. Make that guy beat us because the other guys on the team, Gibson, Jefferson, those guys can ball. They can ball. But Collins is not a guy that's going to go out in 20, and let's get him out of his comfort zone, see if he can do it. That's how I would approach, a generic Norm Grevey. Make their worst shooter score.
Oh, look, I think Anthony Grant's calling in right now. Hold on, Coach Grant.
Sure
I'll get you. I'll patch you through. I tell you what, we're going to step away for a few moments on the other side. We'll give our closing thoughts. Again, last night, big win for the Flyers over VCU. They got a bigger one coming up against St. Louis. As you just heard from Norm, he's already mentally focused on that one. Talked about, UD Arena and people showing up to UD Arena being loud. Well, how about this? ESPN's Joe Lunardi, his latest bracketology reports. We're less than a month away. I mean, we're just under a month away, or just over a month away from first four time. I mean, NCAA tournament action at UD Arena. And Joe Lunardi, his latest bracketology report, has some interesting teams in the mix that we could be seeing play at UD Arena for the first four. So we'll get to all of that to close up the show on the other side. We'll be right back.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash.
Justin, you're awesome, baby.
Right here on 1410 ESPN Radio.
We all have our systems when we bet, from picking the perfect upset to combing through injury reports the night before the game. But there's one thing that every bettor should include in their system: their responsible gaming tools available on FanDuel Sportsbook. These tools help keep your play in check and under control. Tools such as time limits, so you don't unknowingly spend more time on the app than you had originally intended. Wager limits to help prevent you from betting more than you should. And you can even take a timeout, which pauses your account for as long as you may need. FanDuel wants every bettor's experience to be about fun and entertainment. So visit FanDuel.com/playwell and make responsible gaming tools a part of your system. Must be 21 and older and present in Ohio. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
$5,000 sign-on bonus. That's right. My friends at Cordell Transportation are now hiring experienced Class A CDL drivers with excellent work history. If that's you, apply now. Cordell Transportation offers home daily dedicated lanes, no-touch freight, and brand new equipment, plus a $5,000 sign-on bonus paid over 18 months, paid orientation, and company 401k with company match. Apply online at CordellTransportation.com. Cordell Transportation, driven to succeed.
The all-new Chevrolet of Troy is now open. What makes us different? We have a state-of-the-art dealership offering experienced service, parts, and body shop. In fact, we are the only dealership in Miami County with an on-site body shop. That makes it easy for you. With experienced, tenured professionals ready to answer your questions and diagnose your vehicle quickly and efficiently. Our priority is customer service. Make Chevrolet of Troy your first stop for service, parts, and body shop. 1375 South Market Street and online at ChevroletofTroy.com.
Race the savings on your next home improvement project at Menards. Update your floors with soft and luxurious carpet, or transform the look of any living space with durable laminate flooring. Looking for something waterproof? Then check out our huge selection of vinyl plank. Get your project to the finish line with Shaw Flooring and save big money. Race the savings on all of your projects right now at Menards.
Save big money at Menards.
Folks, does your animal's sleeping quarters look like a mud pit? Well, we've got bedding. Fine, medium, large, curly, and cedar. Make your animal's living quarters great again with bedding from Homestead Feed and Supply. New Carlisle. Tell them the Colonel sent you.
Hey, it's Justin Kinner for my friends at Black Rock Bar and Grill. If you are a bourbon aficionado, you are going to want to listen up. Black Rock has a very special event coming up this Wednesday, February 8th from 5 to 9 p.m. It's the Black Rock Bourbon Tasting Event featuring Buffalo Trace, Weller Reserve, and the exclusive Black Rock Eagle Rare. This is an open invitation to come experience these fine bourbons at bottom-of-the-barrel pricing, no pun intended, of course. You'll have a chance to taste 1-ounce samples for just $5 each, plus there'll be 3 amazing specialty cocktails for you to experience, like a smoked old-fashioned and the Gold Rush, plus a special flight for that evening only consisting of Buffalo Trace, Weller Reserve, and Black Rock Eagle Rare. Why not make it an evening with some great appetizers as well? This special bourbon tasting event is one night only, this Wednesday, February 8th from 5 to 9 p.m. Make plans now to be at Black Rock Bar and Grill at Fairfield Commons in Beaver Creek and tell your friends. And as always, please drink responsibly.
Science proves quality sleep is vital to your mental, emotional, and physical health. The Sleep Number 360 smart bed senses your movements and automatically adjusts to help keep you both effortlessly comfortable. And it's temperature balancing, so you stay cool. So you're at your best for yourself and those you care about most. Life-changing sleep, only from Sleep Number. It's our ultimate Sleep Number event. Save 50% on the Sleep Number 360 limited edition smart bed, plus free home delivery when you add an adjustable base. Ends Monday. To learn more, go to sleepnumber.com.
Hi, Greg McAfee here from McAfee Heating and Air. Inflation is hurting families. Gas and food prices continue to soar, but skilled trade jobs are paying at an all-time high rate. Why keep working for less? If you are experienced in HVAC, have a great attitude, love serving people, and enjoy working hard, apply today at mcair.com. That's mcair.com.
Need bucks? With Jackson Hewitt, don't wait weeks for the IRS to send your tax refund. Get up to $3,500 today when you file your taxes at Jackson Hewitt. Details at jacksonhewitt.com.
Do you have an oak tree in your yard? The Ohio Chapter International Society of Arboriculture is committed to advancing responsible tree care practices while preventing a fungal disease called oak wilt. They remind those who own and manage oak trees the best time to prune is November to early March. To find out more, there are over 1,000 qualified tree experts in Ohio. To find an ISA-certified arborist in your area, visit trees4ohio.org. That's trees, the number 4, ohio.org.
When I got the news, I was shocked.
I was scared. I was angry.
When I heard it could be treated with the right care, I was relieved.
I was happy. I was given a second chance.
Urology Specialists of Ohio offers men peace of mind. 5 physicians and 5 locations. Now accepting new patients. Make an appointment with a physician that cares about your health and prevention. Urology Specialists of Ohio, Beaver Creek, Springfield, Urbana, Xenia, and London. Online at urologyspecialistsofohio.com.
Jackson Hewitt guarantees your biggest tax refund, plus a chance to double your refund with the Double Your Refund sweepstakes. No purchase necessary. U.S. residents 18 or older who file a 2022 federal return ends 4/2/23.
Justin Kinner, Norm Grevey, back with you here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. All right, Norm, we only have a couple more minutes, but I do want to say thank you for coming in each and every Wednesday, of course. Every time Norm Grevey comes in, his visit, of course, presented by Wealth Management Group over in Springboro. And again, I think you know the owner. Weren't you complaining about the owner being a real jerk or whatever? You want me to call? Me. I'll call the owner.
No, 30 years in the industry of financial planning, and it's been a great career, and just looking forward to continue doing what I love, watching my kids play basketball and go to school. And
did they draw yet for the tournament?
Yeah, they did draw.
Did they get a bye?
No, the number 1 seed in Dayton is Centerville. Number 2, Wayne. Number 3 is Fairmont. Each have their own sectional. The winners will go down and play. We'll play a Cincinnati. There's 5 sectionals there, so there's 8 district games, and they're going to be at Dayton Arena this year, UD Arena, and then the winner will go down to Xavier, and I still think Fairfield and Sycamore and Centerville are your 3 best teams in Southwest Ohio. Obviously, I would put Centerville 1. I think in Dayton, Wayne's a very good team. I think they're gonna be going on. They'll have a tough matchup with Troy, and then I think down there you have Fairmont as a 3 seed. Springboro, where my son plays, is in that. There's Northmont, Trotwood, Piqua, who's had a nice season. There's
how Trotwood do this year. I was glad to see Poland back.
Yeah, they're rebuilding.
Again,
they have a winning record.
Coach
They have a winning record. They played Northmont, and Springboro plays Piqua. The winner will meet. Any team in that sectional can get hot and advance. That's the one sectional that I think's wide open. With Fairmont as the 3 seed, they're a very well coached, very good team. But Beaver Creek will face them in the second round, so that'll be an interesting game. So. Yeah, a lot of great basketball in town, great coaches. Miamisburg's a good team, getting better each week, and Springboro's improving. And I think Centerville, obviously, is the team to beat with Wayne. And sky's the limit for Centerville and a lot of these kids. This is their last hurrah. There's a lot of them as seniors, and this is their last go-around. And anything can happen in the state tournament. You get on a run, and it's a great experience. But I've been nothing but pleased with what I've seen in the high school this year.
Yeah,
with all the teams and coaches.
And it's cool too. The state tournament back at UD Arena.
Yes,
so that's pretty cool.
St. Vincent St. Mary is a team that's now Division I. Pickerington Central. You have the,
Akron St. Vincent. They're 1 now.
Yes,
they've kind of floated between 3. I mean,
right.
I played at Van Wert High School,
and now CJ is at the number 1 ranked. 2 Division II, along with Fenwick, Alder, all have great opportunities to move on. Meadowdale's a hot team. Dunbar's a very good team. Division II.
Yeah, well,
a lot of games at Trent.
When I brought up Akron St. Vincent, they just kind of floated around over the years because I know they were running like where I was from. They'd run into Wayne Trace. I mean, you'd see LeBron go up against Al Welch. Al Welch is
the country schools. Yeah, they would Akron St. Vincent. This is great.
Ottawa Glandorf.
Yeah, Alder. I think they played Alder one time in the tournament at the arena, if I'm not mistaken.
I was because a bunch of LeBron stuff popped up last night.
Or Roger Bacon.
Yep, Roger.
His only loss in this tournament was at Dayton UD Arena, if I'm not mistaken.
I think that was at the.
Was it at the Shot?
I think it was at the Shot. I could be wrong on that. I think it was at the Shot, but yeah, it was wild last night. I forgot that LeBron and Akron St. Vincent back in the day. Playing at Van Wert, but watching that they're playing Al Welch's Wayne Trace team, and they're the Ottawa Glandorf out of the WBL way up north. And then you touch about playing Alter. Like, it's funny, though, when they ran into those. We'd play when I was in high school, we'd hate it because, you'd play your regular sectionals and you'd have teams out of your conference and stuff or division and all that. Then out of nowhere, you'd run into like Toledo Libby. That's where William Buford, like we ran into John Dabler and William Buford in back-to-back seasons.
Wow.
And I had no business.
High-scoring games there, buddy.
Our team was a high-scoring team, but we had no chance. We had a better chance against Diebler's team. That's the year he dropped 80 in the game, not against us. We held him to 24 points.
Now, is he still the all-time leading scorer in Ohio?
Yes.
Then Kennard and LeBron James, or vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
Burson's up there. He was in my era as Jay Burson.
All-time
went to Ohio State.
So that was just wild during that stretch where just running into those types, and then they'd go on to be teammates at Ohio State for a while.
Jimmy Jackson was at, I think, Macomber or Macomber.
Mm-hmm.
2 back-to-backs. Kennard got back-to-back. LeBron may have won 3.
So I'm just excited. Like I said, the state
Mr.
tournament.
Basketball.
Talk about Poland a little bit ago. I'm glad that he's back coaching again. Love him over at Trotwood.
It's great that they're back, and watch out for Trotwood. It's a good school district. They've had great football. They've traditionally been a great basketball with Rocky, and Amaria Davis was from Trotwood. There's been a lot of great basketball players. Chris Wright.
Oh yeah, and he's doing a lot of great stuff with the right.
So,
Daniel Covey said, "Don't be dissing Ottawa Glandorf." Hi, Daniel, or Daniel. I called him Daniel. Hi, Dan. I hope you're doing well. He also said he goes, my father-in-law saw LeBron James play against Ottawa Glandorf.
There you go.
But yeah, and now LeBron, here he is 20 years later, the NBA's all-time leading scorer. How about that?
That's great. So, that's a great feat.
How about this? So we do a lot of work with the first 4, which is interestingly enough, speaking of Dan Kobe right there. But with the first 4, we work with the with the big hoopla. And as we're getting closer and closer to that, as we close out our conversation today, Norm, it's interesting because now I'm starting to pay attention to all the bracketology, seeing which teams are going to be at the first 4. Last year's first 4 meant a lot to me because obviously you know how close I work with Wright State. I was very cool getting to see them play. They won the Horizon League championship last year, and they were, some people thought, oh man, I'm bummed to be, the 16th seed. I'm like, who cares? You get a chance to get an NCAA tournament win and to do it at UD Arena, basically a home game.
I was at the game.
It was a wild atmosphere. To experience the Let's Go Raider chants throughout UD Arena. I mean, come on. Like,
hey,
I'd be lying if I didn't get a little kick out of that.
Yeah, it felt good though. You know what? I was proud of Wright State. I've played against Wright State and beat them in our first matchup. And I thought one of the loudest the UD Arena has ever been, and I think it was in 1988. Had to be one of the loudest packed afternoon games in March. I'll never forget it. Hotter than a devil. It was warm outside in March. I think it was like a sunny day. It was a 2:00 game. Incredible atmosphere, just an incredible atmosphere. Then we played him in 90, Justin, and lost. So I've experienced
but they broke the rules. You're allowed to play. You're just not allowed to win, right?
So I have great respect for what they do.
Speaking of that, I'm going to their game tonight. Coming up later on, they got NKU on Friday. But the first 4, according to ESPN's Joe Lenardi bracketology, these are the last 4 teams in for the 11 seed matchups. We've talked earlier. Kentucky could be in the mix. Ohio State, they're I don't think they're getting in, but that's not the point. So Memphis, Nevada, Boise State, they're no stranger to the first 4. I think the last time they were in the first 4, they lost to Dayton, of course, and Oklahoma State. That's the latest bracketology report that's come out as far as that's concerned.
Oklahoma State's playing well in one of the toughest leagues. Boise State, if I'm not mistaken, has beaten St. Louis. I would say Kentucky, is better than that, but
they're just on the West Virginia, USC, Arkansas, and Kentucky. They're hovering on that last 4.
West Virginia has a big game tonight.
Yep, you were talking about that
against Iowa State, 11th ranked. This could be a play-in game for West Virginia. Just been struggling to find consistency in a tough league. So balance this year, like we were saying, balance this year in college basketball is incredible. Do multiple pools because you probably have better chance of winning than you ever have this year. There's not a dominant team in college basketball other than Purdue. And I do feel that this tournament is wide open. It could be a 4 seed. It could be a 5 seed. It could be NC State over again, where you play yourself into a conference tournament, win the advance. And then, you look at what they did back in the early 80s. There's not a Georgetown. There's not a North Carolina with Michael Jordan. There's not a Kentucky with Anthony Davis. It's wide open this year.
Absolutely. And there's not a Dayton with Obi Toppin, so there's,
There's not a Dayton without Norm Grevey this year.
By fault. Totally disrespectful. Totally disrespectful. And you talk about the multiple pools. We don't promote gambling on the show. But if we did, I would tell you to download America's #1 sportsbook app, FanDuel. Football fans, FanDuel has the perfect way for everyone to get in on Super Bowl 57 action with a no-sweat same-game parlay. This means that everyone gets bonus bets back if your Super Bowl same-game parlay does not hit. It doesn't matter if you're new to FanDuel or already have an account. Same-game parlays let you combine all of your favorite bets for a chance at a bigger payday. So start building your own or just bet a popular same-game parlay made up for you in America's #1 sportsbook, FanDuel, of course. New to FanDuel, use my promo code KINNER, KINNER, when you download the app. Either way, you'll get bonus bets back if your no-sweat same-game parlay does not hit. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Must be 21 and older and present in Ohio. Refund issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expire 7 days after receipt. Max bonus $5 unless otherwise specified. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Norm, thank you so much.
Thank you. Great. Let's have a good week. We can go 1-0 before we next talk.
Last
Wednesday.
week I said, you were confident. Yeah.
Thought we were going to go 2-0 on the road. Dayton has 6 games left. 3 home, 3 on the road. Finish at St. Louis. Play St. Louis twice in 6 games. So got to show up Friday and be crazy and go through Kamara, and hopefully they can pull that one out.
All right, good stuff. Until tomorrow, it's been the Justin Kidder Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio. And until next Wednesday, it's been Norm Grevey hanging out with us here today. That wraps it up for us. Now back to regular ESPN Radio programming. We'll be back tomorrow.